Hello and welcome to the Sherlock Reel. My name is Carl Sherlock, and today we are discussing iconic female roles in. Today we have a very schmodown filled panel with ourselves. Introducing first, we have Video Drew.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be on this because I am technically a woman. So very excited to talk female roles.
Perfect. Next up, we have Meme Queen herself.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on. I guess I'm a woman. I also identify as a meat popsicle, but I'll accept that as well. So I'm excited to be here with these fellow ladies, and thanks to Carl for inviting me. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Perfect. And last but not least, we have Paige, the up-and-coming rookie in the Schmodown, with a match up on the 31st.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you guys so much for having me on. I mean, it's nice that we get to, I consider myself a lady. So even though I am the Boston badass, I'm trying to make sure we rep these ladies proud. So I'm very happy to be able to talk like iconic female roles with all you guys. And you, sir, of course.
Well, thank you. We're gonna the way this is going to be working there today. I will not be voting. It's just going to be up to you three ladies to be voting to see who will go through to the next rounds, as we usually do in on the Sherlock Reel here. We're going to start off, and it's not an easy one. It's going to start off. We have Dorothy Gale and Judy Garland against V for Vendetta. We have Evie Hammond and Natalie Portman. Jan, why don't we start off? Who would you? We vote on the best film to go through here.
I mean, I honestly, when you said we were going to be doing iconic female roles, I knew one had to be here, and that's Dorothy Gale. So she is going to get my vote, unfortunately. But I do absolutely love Natalie Portman's performance in V for Vendetta, and the Evie character in both the comics and the film. Is a fascinating character that you honestly don't get that amount of range in the comic book movies when it comes to the female characters. So I do appreciate that movie very much. But Dorothy Gale, she is an icon for a reason. And it is a fabulous movie that I think will go very, very far in this bracket if we're doing it right. So Wizard of Oz, Dorothy Gale for me.
That's one vote for the Wizard of Oz. Video Drew, what about yourself? What do you think here?
Well, I usually have to ask, like, what is the criteria that we're voting on? Is it like most emblematic? Well, no, I can't talk of womanhood. Is it about the strongest character? Is it about the one that is most what does iconic really mean? But I think in this case, yeah, Dorothy is going to win out over the V for Vendetta, Natalie Portman's character, just both in terms of legendary status, like S tier legendary status, but also because I feel like as a strong feminine icon or female icon, I feel like Dorothy Gale is the stronger of the two women. Not like it's comparing apples to oranges, but one of them is saved by a man throughout the film, and one of them saves a bunch of dudes from themselves. So, bless you.
Yeah, that was my takeaway when I was thinking about it, in the sense. Mm-hmm. That she was, in a sense, in Wizard of Oz, she's saving the men, in a sense, vice versa, that V for Vendetta, Natalie Portman's getting saved by the man, in a sense. So for me, I think we're going to have to go with Julie Garland in Wizard of Oz.
Yep. No problem there. No last
votes for Wizard of Oz.
Yes. This is easy. We're just going to be
Gareth. I know the Irish accent does come out. Unfortunately, I can't control that. I do pronounce it film. That is.
Yeah, Paige and I might drop some R's to make him feel a little more comfortable. Maybe. Yeah.
We got you. I won't try to do a Irish accent because that will be embarrassing. So.
I've heard them all. We have the Suicide Squad versus Mad Max Fury Road. And Drew, why don't we start off with yourself here? We're not only we're voting on the best film, of course, but it's also how powerful and iconic it was for the female in the role.
Wait,
so we have Suicide Squad. We have.
are we voting on the woman, or are we voting on the film sum total? They're like two different things.
Apologies,
right?
the woman, the iconic woman in the film. So
yeah, I mean, that's really hard. I mean, this is a one that I'd have to parse, because if we were talking about the Harley Quinn role, like in Birds of Prey, like it's like writ large, I might have a harder time with this. But the one that we see in Suicide Squad, that Harley Quinn, as great as it was as an intro, it wasn't really a showcase of like her strength and like her thing. Whereas Furiosa was like the baddest ass woman to ever exist in cinema. It seemed like for that entire aughts period. I mean, Furiosa is just such a great, strong character in like a series that is just so prototypically male and has always been just like this dude franchise. And to have her come in and have the movie shift, I mean, it's sort of like two polar extremes, right? Like Suicide Squad was such a weird showcase for such a strong female character like Harley Quinn, whereas Mad Max Fury Road is such like a surprisingly amazing showcase for a strong female character. So for that, Fury Road.
Perfect. That's one vote for Fury Road. And
I mean, yeah, like this is a tough one because like Harley Quinn and Furiosa are just like two badass women in a sense. But I think I'm gonna have to side with Video Drew on this one with Furiosa. I mean, she is the baddest bitch in that movie and one of like the strongest female characters I think we've seen in cinema like thus far in a sense. And who doesn't love Charlize Theron? So she's got my vote.
I watched that maybe 3 times before realizing she had a fake arm throughout that movie.
I mean, Charlize is so committed that I think she would have chopped it off if she really had to.
Probably.
Good point. And Jen, would you have gone the same way?
Yeah, like honestly, this I want to see this crossover because these two characters, I think they would definitely get along. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to side with we're all on the same page so far. But yeah, Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn, as Drew said, like she has definitely developed over the course of her progression here, and I'm happy with the way that it's going. And Margot Robbie, like she came in and she made a very big impact with a so-so movie. But yeah, the character of Harley Quinn definitely goes beyond the films with the comics. It's one of the most popular characters out there in the DC universe, honestly. But Furiosa, I love Furiosa. She absolutely steals that film. Like she is the emotional lead. It is Mad Max Fury Road, but really he's there along for the ride. And it's a fantastic film. And there's so many people that are like, oh, it's you go one way, you turn around, and that's it. But like, there's so many tiny little thematic elements that are not spoken, and it really comes through in the performances. So yeah, I absolutely 100% Furiosa for this one.
Do people really say that about the movie? That's so funny. Like
people complain about the weirdest things, but like Yeah, I know a lot of people complained about like, Tom Hardy's Mad Max is like, oh, he's like a Mongoloid. He only speaks in like 1-syllable words and everything. But like, it's Tom Hardy, so like he is like committed to the role, and it's all in the eyes and his posture and everything like that. So like, you guys, like, it doesn't have to be spelled out for you at all times. So there's so much world building in that film that it's like amazing. So yeah.
I go to see movies to see Tom Hardy's mouth covered. I'm not sure about the rest of you. I don't go to see Tom Hardy talk. I go to see him like have something in the way of his speech.
Perfect. I mean, yeah, no, it's definitely kind of the lead about anything else, more so than Tom Hardy.
Oh yeah.
You'd say it would be Charlize's film, you know.
Well, I just think it's like a weird thing to be like, oh, the movie sucks because the narrative is they go somewhere and then they turn around and go home. Yeah, it's a whole journey. What do you think Lord of the Rings is? They go somewhere, they turn around, and they go home. Like that's
and that's 3 films. So
yeah.
Very true. Next up, we have Harry Potter. So it'll be the entire Harry Potter franchise. Hermione Granger in there and against Breakfast at Tiffany's. So Holly go light against Hermione. And Paige, we'll start off with yourself here.
I mean, I love Harry Potter. Those movies always definitely like hold like a special place in my heart. And So I mean, honestly, with the other obviously being such an iconic actress in a sense, though, too, I'm gonna have to go with Hermione. I mean, she stands her ground in all of those movies, and she's so damn intelligent that she just is smarter than all the men in that movie. So I'm going with Hermione on that one.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm just saying most of heroes' journeys involve going home, hopefully.
We have a vote in here from the public. Someone voting for Breakfast and Tiffany's. Jen or Drew, do you guys think the same thing, or is
you want to take it, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, Hermione? Look, I think this is where it gets a little bit tricky, right? Because like iconically, like Holly Golightly is such a longevity wise, she's just it's Audrey Hepburn's role. It's the thing we most associate Audrey Hepburn with. But like in terms of like who the character is, like we're talking about like a female wizard who like battles and holds her own and like goes through that whole thing about being a mudblood and is the strongest, smartest character in this franchise, versus a character whose whole thing is like being a phony but being a real phony, and whose like whole thing is like she's like not a prostitute, but she kind of like she's a high class prostitute and falls in love with a high class male prostitute and has a cat and a cat. And like, that's cute. But like in terms of like role models, I don't think it goes to I don't think it goes to Holly. However, if we're talking about like the people who created it, like I'm not even sure if I would say I'd probably go with Truman Capote over J.K. Rowling at this point. But in terms of like better crafters of female experiences, but I don't know. I think it has to go to Hermione. Yeah, Bellatrix is my
he's making a lot of good points in the chat of there are so many other female characters in the Harry Potter universe. I think we're focusing specifically on Hermione here. But yeah, once again, I think it's going to be unanimous here. I got to go with my girl of Hermione because honestly, like Holly Golightly, Audrey Hepburn is an icon in her own right. And this is kind of the pinnacle of her career here. But it hasn't aged exactly well with the particular character in there that I won't talk about. But like the character of Holly Golightly, she like these are both we're talking about the films, but these are both literary characters in their own right as well. And Holly is a complex and flawed character that is fascinating to delve into. Having said that, probably wouldn't want to be friends with her. Hermione, she has been like such a boom for so many young women like reading into, because this was kind of a way of getting a lot of kids to start reading was the Harry Potter books. And it was such a huge cultural icon that it has kind of stood the test of time. It's not as long, obviously, as Breakfast at Tiffany's, but just because J.K. Rowling refuses to go away and apparently they're going to bleed this dry, like it'll be around for a while. So Hermione is capable in her own right, and she does have her moments of femininity. And she, like, honestly, if it was her book, it probably would only be 2 books instead of 7 because she just would get shit done. But yeah, so I have to vote for Hermione, although Audrey Hepburn, like her just singing Moon River, that's enough to like get my heart going. So I absolutely love that film. But if we're talking just about the women today, yeah, I'm going to go with Hermione.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to start disagreeing on something.
I was just going to say, so far we're 2 for 2.
That was the hardest one
controversial at some point. Don't worry, guys.
Maybe this will be the one to do it, because we have Gone with the Wind up against What's Love Got to Do with It.
Wow, you really...
Scarlett O'Hara again. Isn't it just? Scarlett O'Hara up against Turner. Jen, what about yourself?
I mean, this would be very interesting to see these two in a debate with each other. But unfortunately, I mentioned to Carl when he sent the list, there are only 2 films that I haven't seen that we're going to talk about today. And unfortunately, What's Love Got to Do with It is one of them. Like, I know it's about Tina Turner, it's Angela Bassett, and I absolutely love her. So I do intend to watch it eventually, but I haven't seen it. So having said that, I kind of have to go with Gone with the Wind by default. I know a lot of people have problems with this film. And granted, there's a lot of elements that are of its time, both in the era that it's written, when it was written, and when this movie was created. But having said that, like Scarlett O'Hara, she is a deeply flawed character, but she does represent a lot of this struggle of women and trying to progress their lives, both in the romantic and the business side, in that particular time period. So it is fascinating to go back and watch that. And Vivien Leigh is a fantastic actress, so she does pull it off beautifully. And it is definitely a film that a lot of people, I think, haven't seen, honestly, at this point, just because it's so maligned in certain ways. But I think it is worth the time, and it is a great performance if you look at it through certain lenses. So because of the default, I do have to go with Gone with the Wind. But I will watch What's the Cut to do with it eventually.
Look, guys, if you have time to watch the Snyder Cut, you have time to watch.
Yeah, you have time to watch Gone with the Wind. It's on every year on AMC, I'm sure. So, yeah.
That's so funny. You want to go next, Drew?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this again is one of these difficult things because we're talking about Tina Turner and Angela Bassett's portrayal of one of the strongest icons in Black pop music ever, and the struggle she went through with abuse and all this stuff, versus a woman who kind of embodies the idea of the South will rise again, and like literally uses the Civil War as like a backdrop for like how she's like losing out on love, and she might lose her big family farm, and like definitely is not on the right side of history, both in terms of the character and the film itself, which Hattie McDaniel was the first African American woman to get nominated and win an Academy Award for acting, and she wasn't even allowed to go to the ceremony. So I feel like it's hard for me to want to root for Vivien Leigh, even though her portrayal of Scarlett O'Hara is, as you said, is iconic and is literally the definition of legendary. I might just have to go with Angela Bassett and What's Love Got to Do with It, not just for Angela Bassett's portrayal, but for who Tina Turner was and what this movie did for the biopic idea. Like it really was the Pharaoh versus Allen of its day. Like this was a movie that really showed that there are ways that very strong women can be in horrible abusive relationships, and what you see from the outside is not always what you see on the inside of being in abuse.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I haven't seen Gone with the Wind in so long, but I completely agree with you with What's Love Got to Do with it. I mean, Angela Bassett's portrayal of Tina Turner in it is phenomenal. One, she was nominated. So, and two, I mean, like you said too, like just to show a woman that was just so amazing in the music industry, but was battling with so much abuse behind the scenes in a sense. And the way she just was on stage, though, the way she portrayed herself, I mean, you got to go with Tina Turner. Angela Bassett, man. She's my pick.
Perfect. That's Angela Bassett and What's Love Got to Do with it? Round. Perfect.
Okay.
Next up, again, it's two completely different films. Completely different coming up here. We have the Hunger Games franchise up against 9 to 5.
What are you talking about? I see the perfect through line there.
Dory Lee Rose.
And Dolly Parton.
Rising
Dory
up against
Lee
the
Rose
patriarchy.
against Katniss Everdeen. Why don't we start off with yourself here?
Me? Or me?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Talk about one of the ones that I haven't seen. Yikes, guys. I haven't seen 9 to 5. I know who's in it, and I know that Dolly Parton's in it, and I've seen clips of it. But I'm tempted to go with 9 to 5 because I feel like Katniss, and I've read the books too, and I like what Katniss stands for, and I like Jennifer Lawrence's portrayal of Katniss, but I don't think that character represents like iconic womanhood in a lot of ways. Like I feel like she is a YA cipher character. It's kind of like what's her name from Twilight. She's just sort of like a not a Mary Sue, but she is sort of just like she's just she's kind of like a blank canvas that you project your own as a young
Self-insert.
Yeah, just like a cipher character.
Totally
whereas Dolly Parton, as I understand it, and from what I know about everything that Dolly Parton does, she's a phenom, and she totally brings alive like every character that she does, and that these characters are also, for people who watch these movies and love Dolly Parton, which isn't the same subset of people that usually love feminist woke culture, that people who love Dolly Parton and who saw 9 to 5 were like changed or swayed because of it, for like the toxic workplace environment. It is the ultimate like toxic workplace revenge movie. So besides, of course, Hunger Games. So I would probably give it a 9 to 5, a movie I have not seen.
Wow. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't seen 9 to 5 either. I do know what it's about. I know Dolly Parton's in it. And I mean, she's amazing. I won't talk about these, but
I mean, she would have no problem with you talking about those.
Yeah,
That's part
exactly.
of Dolly.
But I mean, just because I've seen these movies and I do love the character in a sense, and I love Jennifer Lawrence as just an actress, I'm gonna go with Katniss Everdeen.
We have our first split.
I did that whistle so wrong, and that probably echoed.
Oh, here we go.
All right, I get to be a tiebreaker, but guess what? I have seen 9 to 5, so at least
okay, good. So I hope you've seen Hunger Games too, then.
Yeah, I honestly, I've read the Hunger Games as well, and I think that's going to come down to where I land here of the transition. As Drew said, yeah, Katniss Everdeen, particularly in the movies, is a bit of a self-insert character, and that is by design, honestly. I will push back and say she's better than Bella. Bella is a whole other set of problems. But yeah, I do appreciate in the transition from the books to the movies. Katniss in the books, she is a little more interesting because she's not so caught up in the romance and having to become this whole symbol and everything. That's more about that. But when you get over to the movies, you got to push the teams for all the teens out there to pick their shirt of Team Gale or Team PETA. So yeah,
did people really go Team Gale or Team PETA? Because I was going to say one good thing about it compared to Twilight is like it wasn't really about the guys. I mean, the guys were just like these duds.
Once you cast a Hemsworth as one of the members, there's going to be some team shirts in there. But yeah, so like Katniss, she's an interesting character, and it is nice to have a franchise that is really, when you think about it, quite violent, be a teen franchise that is led by a girl. So I think that did kind of push a couple more, not as successful, obviously, series coming out of that. But 9 to 5, Dolly Parton, she is an icon in her own right. She is a hero in both the real world and her music and her film roles. And 9 to 5 it's a joyful film. Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Poker Gammon, I'm pretty sure in 9 to 5, Dolly Parton is also the sole provider for her own family.
Like, and we're talking specifically about Dolly, but you also got to point out that Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin are in this movie. So the trio of them against Katniss Everdeen definitely pushes to that side. So I'm going to go for 9 to 5. I absolutely would recommend it. It's hilarious. And even though I said she's next to Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda, who are both icons in their own right, Dolly's the one that really shines in this. And obviously the song is iconic in its own right. So yeah. This makes you want to get up and dance. It's a great song, and it's a really fun film that really pushed the boundaries of the time. So go check it out. It's great.
I'll watch that.
I just have to address these things in the comments here. Poker Gambit with just absolute blatant.
I watched the Twilight films. I don't care.
Look, Carl, if you want to come on, we've taken it. We've done a video chronic quiz on the first Twilight movie, and Molly Damon, I think, went perfect or close to perfect.
I actually saw that. Yep.
So she's our resident Twilight champ. So yeah, I remember you were in the comments for that. So next time we do a Twilight quiz, you'll have to come on.
Oh Lord! If you're ready to get with 0 points on a question or on a topic. Gladly.
I mean, I've gotten 0 on quizzes before. My V for Vendetta quiz was close to 0. Me and Lon were like edging out on 0.
Like, I like that movie. No, I don't, apparently. So, yeah.
Next up, these strange combinations just keep coming up. This time, it's Mary Poppins and Legally Blonde. Couldn't be any further apart, I think. And Jen or Paige, sorry, why don't we start with yourself?
I mean, obviously, Julie Andrews is such an iconic role in Mary Poppins. We're talking about the older one, right? Not Emily.
I'm guessing so, yeah.
Okay. But I mean, honestly, Reese Witherspoon and Legally Blonde, I mean, that whole movie is about her like becoming her own woman and just being like, screw these men, I'm gonna go do this. I mean, at first it's kind of like a I'm gonna go do this to prove that he messed up. But then she's just like, I am a strong woman. I can do this. Like, so I mean, I'm gonna go Legally Blonde. I mean, bend and snap, man. So
Jen?
I mean, like you said, these are very different, but honestly, these two characters, I would like to see them face off in a courtroom because Mary Poppins, she's kind of a bad bitch if you go back and watch. Like, she does not take crap from anybody, and like she can sing too, and she looks fabulous while she's doing it.
is she a witch?
She kinda like
Yeah, they never discuss that.
They don't really talk about it, but she's a little bit witchy, and like she lets the kids have it when she knows that they're not doing what she wants. So. Like Julie Andrews, I think this isn't the only time we're going to talk about her today. But Mary Poppins is a really big role. Like, obviously the translation from books to film is very different. It's very Disneyfied, but that's not necessarily a bad thing in my mind. But Legally Blonde, like Elle Woods, she's phenomenal. And that's like one of the quintessential, like female driven comedic roles ever. And like Reese Witherspoon is just perfect for this role. And I'm glad that she got 2 movies out of it and potentially a third one coming eventually, something. But having said that, I think I gotta go with Mary Poppins just because Julie Andrews is like phenomenal and I love her, and that is a big series of books that it came back. Like we talked about it, like were we talking about Julie Andrews or were we talking about Emily Blunt, and it's something that they were comfortable saying we can drag this out and it will still matter. So yeah, I think Mary Poppins is the vote for me.
What you got, Drew?
Perfect. So Drew, it all comes down to you.
So this is really interesting. This is one of those few times, or not a few times. This is one of those times where I think it's important to look at the movie's context of it. And the issue with Mary Poppins versus Legally Blonde is Mary Poppins has this weird viewpoint about like women and like specifically suffragettes and what it means to be a feminist, because its positioning throughout the entire film is that the mom, who comes off as like a sister suffragette, she comes on, she has this big song and she's like, come up for sisters, our daughters will like adore us because we got the right to vote. But then as soon as the husband comes home, she becomes this doting wife, and she's shown as this little flaky, like, oh, I can't even take care of the kids. Like, I'm like, they're both shown to be neglectful, terrible parents, but the mom specifically is shown to be neglectful as well as hypocritical because she's like a flaky, fake feminist. And I think the movie's positioning of Mary Poppins is what a real woman is like. A real woman takes care of the kids. A real woman provides all this stuff. And I think it's specifically this I've always read it as this really anti-feminist rhetoric.
That's true. That's definitely something that was written for the films. And yeah, they do brush it off of like, that's not in the books, the whole suffragette storyline and everything. It's like a joke for them. Yeah. So
and it was so long ago too. Yeah. And it was so long ago too. Like that was what was unfortunately was expected.
Yeah, but like what I don't even understand what that beat is. It's sort of like, okay, so it's not in the book. So it's like, okay, she loves like, women's rights and she's trying to get the right to vote, but like she's at home. She's just like a timid, like little, like slave. And it's like, what is that? Like what is the
male writer's room? That's what that is.
That's Hollywood for you.
She has this line and it's really interesting. Like she has this line about how her daughters will adore us because like, we did this suffragette movement, but in actuality, her daughter doesn't give a shit about her because she's not around, and like she's shown as to be this weak, subservient wife. So for that reason, and because of the way Mary Poppins is positioned against that as this proto real version of what womanhood should be, I have to go and give it to Elle Woods, who there's a great Broadway musical of Legally Blonde, which I think I like a little bit more than the movie even. But I love Elle Woods as portrayed by Reese Witherspoon. It's my second favorite Reese Witherspoon role after Election. So I feel like I'm gonna give it to Legally Blonde.
I'm glad someone agreed with me.
Goes through. Perfect. We have Gal Gadot coming up against.
Oh man, these are two different,
Wonder Woman
different
against Jackie Brown.
It's like apples and oranges.
That's
literally.
Contrast.
Jen, take it away.
God damn it! This is hard. Oh wow! Like. You're setting me up here. Like, I absolutely love Jackie Brown. It's one of, I think, the most underrated of Tarantino's films, and Pam Grier, she's the best thing in it, obviously. But like I love the story and everything about that movie. So like it's really hard because Wonder Woman, if we're looking specifically at Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins Wonder Woman, and nothing else, I'm like completely not even 1984. I'm cutting out everything else.
Yeah, the Snyder Cut's relevant here.
The Snyder Cut is not relevant to me. Like, because
it's canon now.
Like Gal Gadot in specifically Wonder Woman, that was just one of those perfect symmetry moments for me of even leading up to the film. I'm like, I don't think this is good. I don't think it was a good choice. She's not really a serious actor. She doesn't have like the build, even though obviously like she could kick my ass any day. But like Wonder Woman, I didn't know how much it meant to me to see something like that on the screen until I'm sitting in there during the No Man's Land sequence and just bawling my eyes out. So that film really hit me in a way I did not expect. And it hasn't happened again since, because the Wonder Woman character outside of that film hasn't been handled the same way. I did watch the Snyder Cut, and like she's there, and luckily we're not doing the Joss Whedon shots of her ass all the time, but she doesn't really have the same impact, obviously, as she does in her own film. And that
you're not going to combine like in the knowledge that she like let a guy get like ghost unconsensually taken over.
She really needed some loving, okay? Like, it's been a while. But yeah, like 84, I just wrote that out of my mind. But yeah, if we're just talking about Patty Jenkins Wonder Woman, I unfortunately, I have to go with that, because that just, it meant so much to me as a nerd. You can see all the shit in the background I have. Like, I'm a nerd. So to see a film take off and really have an impact on all audiences and have it be a female-led role where she's allowed to be feminine, she's allowed to be naive, she's allowed to be herself, that really meant a lot to me. So I have to vote for Wonder Woman. My apologies to Jackie Brown. I love that film. So. Do
you want to go, Drew? Or do you want me to go?
Sure, I can go. I mean, as someone who famously missed the 5-pointer about Jackie Brown, I can say that since then I have seen Jackie Brown. I have so many excuses for why that was, like so many qualifiers for why that it was, but we don't have to get into it. I have seen Jackie Brown. I think the reason that I'm also going to go with Wonder Woman on this, though. As much as I love Tarantino, I feel like Tarantino is like a hard one because he writes strong female characters, but they are written from Quentin Tarantino's mind. Yeah. So it is this sort of like weird, like blaxploitation written by a white dude and directed by a white dude. But Pam Grier totally slays, and she is a queen. And I love her in that role. But Wonder Woman, I think, especially because people came in with very low expectations for what that movie was going to be. And then, especially for like women in the DC universe, like it was so above and beyond what we could have ever hoped for a strong female character in that sort of timeline. I think Patty Jenkins directed and wrote. She wrote it, right? She co-wrote it, right?
Yeah, she co-wrote it. Yeah,
co-wrote it. She wrote it. I mean, that character is just. Talk about a character that like I don't know that much about, and like honestly came off as kind of uninteresting to me. Like I'm like, her lasso makes you tell the truth. Like that's a little funky. Like that's, and nothing about it really interests me. Nor did Gal Gadot particularly interest me. I mean, I knew she'd been in a Fast and Furious movie and was like an Israeli hot model, but then watching that movie, which I only watched like a year or two ago, I was surprised by like how intensely, or maybe not even a year or two ago. Did I watch it with you? Eric, did I watch it with you? Yeah. Okay. Did I watch Wonder Woman with you? Yes. Yeah. So I watched it less than a year ago, and I loved it. Like I was surprised, but besides the ending of it, because David Thewlis is not Gal Gadot's problem. That she's not responsible for him. But like, it's just such a great character. I love the dynamic between her and Chris Pine in that first movie. Mm-hmm. He's the perfect partner for her. Like he's somebody who like totally respects her, and she, her relationship with him, I think, is like a really. It's like undoes. I feel like it's the anti Han Solo, Indiana Jones kind of thing. It's like teaching the right kind of relationship for like men and women to have.
What do you need to succeed? Exactly. Let me handle it. Yeah,
it's not like forcing kisses upon you and calling you princess and belittling you and negging you. It's like being like, what do you need and how can I provide that for you? And here's me being a supportive and woke man in 1940. Exactly. But for that reason, I do think it goes to Wonder Woman. She's a great character in that film.
I mean, like you guys are saying, I mean, this one really is apple and oranges because I mean, Tarantino is like one of my favorite directors, and I mean, Jackie Brown is so underrated. And Pam, if we're gonna go like who's like a better actress, I mean, personally, I think Pam Grier is a million times better than Gal Gadot. But at the end of the day, too, though, Wonder Woman was like the first, like. Well, I mean, obviously we had the older Wonder Womans like back in the day and stuff, but like the new generation of the superhero movies, this was the first tale of a woman superhero. So it was kind of nice to see that brought to this like big screen, and kind of how strong and like powerful how it was that she was this like strong woman, and she's an Amazonian. Like it's all a bunch of strong women. So Wonder Woman's got this one. I love you, Pam Grier. And Jackie Brown, but I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, Pam.
Yeah, that one's rough, but
that hurt.
Yeah.
I never said it was Evis. I really do. Next up, we're out of the superheroes. Well, you might be able to call one of these women a superhero anyway. It is Erin Brockovich versus Mean Girls.
You mean like Regina
Very
George
different.
specifically?
Regina George, yes. Regina George.
Okay, so gotcha. Okay, so not Katie, but Regina. Okay. That's interesting. That's an interesting one because it's like the villain of the story. Or well, like
she is like an iconic role, but I mean, she's like so mean against other women in a sense. I mean, now I feel like I'm taking this one. I don't know if it was your turn.
No,
Drew, I'm sorry. But I mean, yeah, I mean, like I love Rachel McAdams like in that role. I mean, Mean Girls is such like an iconic like chick flick in a sense, but at the same time, at the end of the day, Regina George was so mean, and she was the one like tearing women apart instead of bringing them together. And Julia Roberts and Erin Brockovich is. I haven't seen the movie in so long, but I know what she like stands for in that movie is like she's trying to get a point across and trying to stand for something. So at the end, I'm not making that up, right, guys?
No, you got it.
Okay. I was like blank face for a second. I was like, oh my God, am I talking about the wrong movie? But no, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm definitely going Julia Roberts on this one.
Jen, you want to go?
Vote there. And Drew.
Oh, okay. This one's hard for me because I actually do. I've subscribed to my friend. Sorry, 1 second. I'm gonna change this thing. So I subscribe to my friend Lon Harris's theory that Regina George is actually the hero of the movie. This is one of those things where it's like people think Regina's the villain of the movie, but if you actually watch it, like Katie's kind of the villain of the movie.
Oh, definitely.
Regina,
I want to know this theory now.
Right, because like it's almost like Regina, she talks smack around about other people behind their back, but in actuality, she's like very pleasant and nice to people to their faces, like to all the other women at school to their fases. Like she goes, "That's the ugliest fugly bracelet I've ever seen." But the only woman that we see her actually being negative towards is Janice Ian, and that she accepts Katie and brings her into the group. And Katie's the one who becomes this like master manipulator of bringing down this woman who like thinks that she's her friend. And there's like mean girl politics to it, but in actuality, like it's Regina that's being more sinned upon than sinning.
Wow, now I feel like I might have to change my answer just from that like theory right there. No, I'm gonna stick with my answer, but that I've never thought of it that way.
I mean, again,
my whole thought on Mean Girls now.
This is all Lon's theory, so that, all the credits to Lon Harris for this. But like, but I really like that theory. Also, like Erin Brockovich, maybe this is just my Julia Roberts thing. Like, I don't love Julia Roberts all that much. But this role in particular, I get why it's important. I've seen this movie fairly recently. I like Aaron Eckhart in it. I also think that's a great dynamic relationship. Is like the Aaron Eckhart motorcycle dude. Is a great kind of break from like the Aaron Eckhart sleazy handsome dude stuff that he was doing. So he put on a beard so you couldn't see his cleft chin, and then he just showed up like as like a biker dude who has like he was just kind of like chill and like supportive of her. And she was based on a real person who was a great lawyer and a great advocate. Or sorry, paralegal, I think she was. She paralegal. So, like, if we're talking about the real life inspiration versus Regina George, probably the person who the actual Erin Brockovich was an important person. However, if we're talking about like iconic classic roles and talk about like what I prefer Regina George as like just like the strong villainess, fun character over like the sort of you know, Erin Brockovich, what was her thing? Like, what do you remember about Erin Brockovich's character except that she had big boobs, like, and was a lawyer? Like, you know, that's kind of like all that, you know, came across in the performance. Meanwhile, on Wednesdays we were pink. So like,
Jen, you get to.
Yeah, now I feel like I might have to change my answer. Oh my
Jen,
God.
you get the final decision.
Make the decision.
Yeah, like Mean Girls is clearly, it's the more quotable, it's the more enjoyable to watch between the two of these. But I think, yeah, because Erin Brockovich it represents a certain female role in society that often gets overlooked, and because this is a true story and everything, I think that elevates a little bit more. Yeah, because like I there's not a lot of memorable lines from it, but like there are moments like when the Aaron Eckhart relationship is fantastic, and when he asks, they have a whole thing about ask for the number, and she's like, "Oh, you want my number? I have 3 kids, and all this is my debt and everything like that." And that was a great scene, and like Julia, she does pull it off very well, and it is just one of those things of being taken seriously in the workplace. So for that, I think Erin Brockovich has a lot more to say as a female in the world, more so than Mean Girls. Having said that, Regina George is awesome, and she is a master manipulator, as is Katie. Lon is correct. Like, Katie is definitely not the innocent one in this whole situation. But yeah, she knows, she's a very smart girl. There's another character that is very similar that we're going to talk about later that I really want to have a talk about. I'd love to see them face off, but like, she is very intelligent, as is Erin Brockovich. But whereas Erin uses her powers for good, Regina uses them somewhat for evil, or at least to progress her own situation. So I don't know if I 100% agree with Lon, just because, yeah, she doesn't flat out like say horrible things to people. She says it behind her back, but like, as anyone knows, if you find out about
nice.
It's just as bad to do that, to undercut people behind their backs. And that's a lot. Usually that's the whole Mean Girls problem, is women undercutting other women, not to their face, but in the background. And that's why we can't be taken seriously, because other people hear what we say about each other. So having said that, I think I got to go with Erin. But yeah, if you put these 2 DVDs down in front of me, I'm going to watch Mean Girls. But yeah, Erin Brockovich, because it's a real person with real problems in the world that existed. Yeah, I'm going to go with her.
Can we bring up Garth's comment for a second? Just bring that back up for a second.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so am I saying Julia Roberts won the leading role for her boobs? No, but I will say that like Best Actress is not a qualifier for like the best, who did the best job or what's the best role is. You know, Emma Stone won for La La Land, but I don't think that's like on the list of iconic female characters. People win from all sorts of silly reasons. Vivian Leigh won, right, for Gone with the Wind, and that's again a very problematic character. So I'm not saying she won just for her boobs, but I'm also saying like winning an Academy Award is not my qualifier for what makes a iconic female role.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's very true. Next up, we have Princess Leia, the star of the original trilogy, Doris Day.
Raise your hand if you've seen Calamity Jane.
This is the other one. This is the other one I haven't seen.
Hands are down. I will be sitting on my hands for this one. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so you can probably already guess what my answer is.
Yeah.
So
I guess we're the assholes.
I know the folklore behind Calamity Jane. I haven't seen the film. I know of Doris Day. Unfortunately, the only thing I think I've seen Doris Day in is The Man Who Knew Too Much, in which she just sings Que Sera Sera for like 5 times over and over again. So she has become a bit of like an icon in her own right. Of when you think of like the Doris Day, Rock Hudson kind of stuff, like she has that certain niche to it. But I think Calamity Jane is more of a Western, and it's more about a character that is like one of the only iconic female Western heroes. So there's something to be said for that, but I have not seen this film. And then on the flip side, like Princess Leia, she's Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher, man. Like, she's one of the best characters out there for any sci-fi, honestly. She broke ground and everything. So, like, it's one of those, you get to see a woman kick ass while also wearing a fabulous ball dress and wearing those really iconic buns, honestly. So, like, for that alone, I think she's easily going to walk through on this. Yeah.
Look,
so we can all agree on that one.
I think we can feel better about ourselves, knowing that no matter who she's put against, Princess Leia is probably going to go towards the end of this bracket, no matter what she's put against. So the fact that, yes, this might have been the first female Western character, and it does suck that we haven't seen Doris Day as Calamity Jane. I don't think that there's any way that even going back and watching it, any of us would have chosen her over Princess Leia, General Leia. I mean, let's talk about like iconic things. I mean, Star Wars is a type of Western. And she is the subversion of the damsel in distress, and she is a princess who becomes a general. She is the strongest female character probably in sci-fi, probably in cinematic history up until that point. She was probably the strongest, most iconic female character to ever come along. That was both feminine, that young girls could look at and be like, I want to grow up to be her, but in a way that was, wasn't just like a princess in a castle or a Disney princess. It was a strong female character. Now, again, the relationship between her and Han is a little, like, in retrospect, a little bit gross and toxic, but it's one of these things where it's just sort of like ingrained in me that's also very sexy. So whatever. She's awesome. Carrie Fisher was a legend. Like, who's gonna like not bow down to that queen? So I'm gonna give it to her.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to even like think on this one. Carrie Fisher all day. I mean, she was like the first woman that like I was never really a girly girl, and I was just like, I want to be that princess now. Like, this was like the first princess I like looked up to, and I was like, I want to be that boss bitch. So Princess Leia all day. I'm glad we all agree on that one.
Yeah. Like, I think I have an old diary entry here somewhere that says, it's from like when I was 7, and it says, I don't know if I want to kiss Han Solo or be Han Solo. So I had a different view of that whole thing, where I think I had a bigger issue.
That's me too.
Gender issues with
that might just be a Harrison Ford problem though, because that's Indiana Jones too. So
yep, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. But it was such a sexy relationship for me, specifically because their banter was so good, and she was just such a strong. She just it wasn't a wilting flower to him. You know, it was so hot, but so wrong. And anyway, moving on.
Perfect. That's the Star Wars going through. Carrie Fisher. Now, if you do get a chance, I would advise seeing Calamity Jane. I love that film. Doris Day's performance is brilliant in it. It was actually that film, we did a play of it when we were in. I was one of the characters in that film. It's a really good one, but obviously it's up against Carrie Fisher. It's going to be a tough one to knock her out. We're going to stick with Star Wars here, and it's actually going to be the sequel trilogy with Rey going up against Silence of...
Who wants to handle that hot button first? Hot potato.
And you want to take it?
I love the character of Rey in the new Star Wars sequel trilogy. However, I will say that if we're looking at it from the whole 3 films, they kind of dropped the ball. So yeah, it's like, I do appreciate the character, but there's definitely a lot of potential that was left on the floor. So meanwhile, Silence of the Lambs, like Jodie Foster, that is a fabulous character, and it's a fantastic film that honestly, it has progressed to other actresses in TV and movies and the books and everything. And I've read all the books, and so that the character of Clarice Starling, she is we were talking about Erin Brockovich before, of she is a woman trying to get through a very, very male driven organization. And she's kicking ass while doing it. And she does have to she doesn't necessarily sacrifice all of her femininity, but she knows how to conceal it to be taken seriously and everything like that, which is unfortunately very realistic. I work with the government. So she, in Silence of the Lambs, she's the one that ends up solving everything just because she works at it all day by herself. She is driven, and it's a very interesting character to see. And Jodie Foster, this is her iconic role. She has done many, many things since this, but this is the one that she's really known for, and deservedly so. So my vote has to be for Clarice.
You know what's crazy is if you actually read the Miss Harris books, do you know how the story of Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling ends? Do you know the end of their story that ends after the events of Hannibal? Yeah, they end up together. They run away to Austria to get married.
Oh, really?
And this is after he holds her hostage he does in Hannibal, and has makes her watch her friend eat his own brains, and then like gives her all these drugs and makes her like confront the skeleton of her dead dad that he's dug up. Like put her on like LSD, all this stuff, and then like one day she's like, "No, I'm worked through my trauma. I'm fine now. You don't have to give me any more drugs. Let's get married and move to."
I don't hear the screaming. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they didn't do that. It was in the movies.
No.
That would have torn me apart. That's for sure. Yeah.
For that reason, I think again, here's what I think about the Silence of the Lambs. Clarice Starling is Daisy Ridley. Did what she could with that role, but I think we can all agree that like it could have been another actress and it could have been the same critique, or it could have been a different movie. You can almost imagine it being a different kind of thing. Daisy Ridley almost felt, unfortunately, like just sort of a cipher, or just like she was just kind of planted there. Whereas Clarice Starling is so clearly, Jodie Foster's role, that when you put Julianne Moore in the role for like Hannibal, it doesn't work as well. Like you're just like, no, like it's almost like not even canon. Like you're like, that's not real. Jodie Foster, and the way that she holds her own against Hannibal Lecter, maybe one of the scariest characters in a non-horror. It's debatable whether Silence of the Lambs is a horror movie, but I tend to think it's not. I think it's
I would just say in cinematic history, though, he's a creepy man. So
yeah, he's the creepiest. He's based on all the serial killers combined. Anthony Hopkins in that performance is so iconically terrifying that he won the best actor or best actor award for like having less.
It's like 12 minutes or something.
That's like one of the 3 films that everyone, like, I think it won like best picture, best actress, and best actor, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and he got like 16 minutes of screen time, like for some total of that film. So like you're just talking about like a powerhouse like Sir Anthony Hopkins and how scary that character was, and then you think about the fact that Jodie Foster was not only able to hold her own playing against him, but like really, this movie is not about Buffalo Bill. When you think of Silence of the Lambs, you don't necessarily think of just Hannibal Lecter. You think of Hannibal Lecter and his relationship with Clarice Starling and the Lambs. And
it's all built on respect for one another and their skills. And that's what's like really makes it stand out. So he's not even my favorite version of Hannibal Lecter, but she's my favorite version of Clarice Starling. So
I mean, for me, at the end of the day, if we're gonna go with at the end of the day, like, who's the most iconic, like, Star Wars chick? We're always going to go with Princess Leia over Rey, unfortunately. Like you guys did say, like, she did what she got, but at the end of the day, I don't think they took her character in the right path that they should have. So, Clarice, man, just like you guys say, like, that woman is tough and she holds her ground. And I'm very glad in the movies that she did not run off with him. But,
It's an interesting dynamic. If you watch the TV show Hannibal, it's also Will Graham and Hannibal's relationship was a very intense love affair. I like that kind of stuff. But also, I just want to say that, like, if the issue was like, was it Kelly Marie Tran's character in Star Wars? We still have to say no. It's Clarice Starling, and that's not our problem. That's not our bias. That's the way the movies unfortunately did dirty to those characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Very true.
Clarice is a badass, so. We're going with her. We all agree on that one, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Clarice, the next round. Next up. These are all Sophie's choices, but
this one's definitely helping.
Terminator.
I've actually seen Sophie's Choice. I can start this one because sometimes people haven't seen that movie, but they know what the context is, which is like, if you guys don't know, the Sophie's Choice is
she picks the boy.
Spoiler alert. Between one or two of your favorite child. So when people go, "Oh, it's a real Sophie's Choice," and they're talking about like Terminator versus Sophie's Choice. That's not a real Sophie's Choice. Real Sophie's Choice is having to choose between which one of your child are going to get murdered. And Meryl Streep is a phenomenal actress in it, and this is like one of those iconic Meryl roles, along with the Dingo Ate My Baby one. It's like the 2 biggest Meryl roles for her early career. But come on, Sarah fucking Connor. Like, if we're talking about just the first Terminator movie, maybe there would be
guns, man. Those muscles she's got too. Like, what?
Right. Like, it might be a harder choice if we were just talking about Terminator, the first Terminator. But I'm guessing, if anything, we're talking about the T2 Sarah Connor.
I think
I'm hoping.
Yeah, because that's the one that's a really iconic
franchise of Sarah Connor being in all the Terminators. Yes.
Yeah. So then you got to give it up to Sarah Connor. One of the strongest, besides like Ripley, is the strongest female action horror final, not even a final girl. I don't even think about them as final girls because they're women and they're badasses, and like the term final girl doesn't apply to people like Sarah Connor, who is like the mother of the child of the revolution, and like, but the whole, the reason that we want to watch the Sarah Connor Chronicles is because that character is so strong and so great, and her guns, are you kidding me? Like, and she's just like the embodiment of strong motherhood, just badassery.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with everything you just said, Drew. I mean, Meryl Streep is, obviously, like, I can just hear, like,
my ass,
I can just hear the schmo down yelling, like, Meryl Streep. But, I mean, like, Sarah Connor, man, definitely having to choose between your children is a tough choice, but also having to save the world, though, I think is another. So I'm going to go with my girl, Sarah Connor. So.
To be fair, I also got a Ewok costume from one of the dogs, but thank you. Thanks.
Fantastic.
An Ewok, don't you? Yes.
Okay. I mean, I'd be lying if we didn't have Sarah Connor go through. Like, if she died in round one, that'd be horrible. So like Sophie's Choice, it's known for that one scene that's only like 5 minutes long, where she actually makes the choice, but that doesn't actually come until like the last 20 minutes of the film, I think. So it is an interesting film. I definitely recommend go watch it because it's about trauma. Like, that's the film. If you like WandaVision, you're gonna like Sophie's Choice. But it's definitely a highlight of Meryl's ability to emote, because it's a very closed off character in the beginning, because you don't know why she is the way she is, and then you slowly start to understand why. So, and it's got Kevin Kline in it, which is always exciting to see. So I do love that film. But yeah, Sarah Connor, she's iconic female role. That is like, she's up there. She might win today. Who knows? But yeah, if we're specifically, you got to talk about the series, or at least 1 and 2 for her, because that is really the progression of her character. As Drew said, in 1, like, she is like a typically normal kind of like character for a horror film of she's being chased. She needs a man to save her. But then you see the transformation off screen to 2, and she becomes this total mama bear badass. Oh my God. So yeah, she gets to see what's ahead of her and adapt to get there. So it is definitely one of the most interesting developments of a character in a movie franchise. So yeah, we're going to be talking about her for a while, I'm sure. So yeah, Sarah Connor, go through round 1. Go ahead.
And I honestly am not one of these people who know that much about the canon of things, because I haven't watched beyond I think Terminator 2. Like, I didn't see the rest, but I do know she becomes the star of the franchise, and like also there's like, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. But I've always wondered, like, did she tell her? She did tell John that his dad was his best friend. He's gonna send back.
That's in Genesis. He knows for a fact that that's his name and everything. So that's a big part of that. Don't need to go back and watch that, but yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to worry. That's just 1 and 2.
He just sends it back in time with a picture of his mom, and he's like, "Go hit that."
Next up, we have probably the 2 biggest differences of characters going up against each other. It's The Bride against Kill Bill against Dreamgirls.
That's great.
Which Dreamgirls?
I mean,
very different characters.
I think it's Jennifer Hudson, right?
We're talking about
I'll definitely take this one.
Yes,
like
sorry,
I said, Quentin Tarantino. I think him and Uma Thurman did such an amazing job crafting this character, whatever you want to call it, Beatrice Kiddo, the Black Mamba, the Bride. I mean, she is one of the toughest chicks in cinema, and that whole movie just has a bunch of tough chicks in it. So for me, I didn't even have to think about this one. Jennifer Hudson, I'm pretty sure, did win an Oscar for this role, but Kill Bill all day, every day. That was easy for me. For you guys, take it away.
Dreamgirls is a movie based on a Broadway musical. It's a movie that exists, and I'm not knocking it. Like, I think it's a great movie. I think it was a good star vehicle for Jennifer Hudson and for Eddie Murphy, and like, Jamie Foxx, who I believe he was also in the movie, right? Or am I crazy?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he is.
Yes,
but
yeah.
come on, as much as it sucks that behind the scenes stuff is so the different story of not empowerment and how it feels like Uma Thurman felt strong-armed into doing stunts that she wasn't comfortable doing, and then again it becomes a story of who writes the narrative of this strong female character. It's this really crazy white dude who's just living out his or projecting his not fetishization, but maybe a little bit of his fetishization.
I think you're right in that word. I think that's fair.
That realm, yeah.
But the thing is, she's great. The thing is, film is not just the vision of the director / writer. It is also, the film is a collaborative medium, and it is Uma Thurman's performance as the bride. It is the way she brings to life the words that and the character that Quentin Tarantino wrote that make it so iconic. And she's just again, she's up there with Sarah Connor in terms of Mama Bear. She's just such a strong, crazy good character who manages to take this idea of the revenge fantasy, what am I going to say? Not martial arts, but the Eastern idea, the Eastern movies, and make it into this iconic Western character, and it's beautiful. And she's such a strong character that it sucks that behind the scenes that was not the story, that wasn't the real narrative. But I have to give it to Uma Thurman as the bride, as Beatrix Kiddo.
Yeah, I hate once again that I'm voting against a black woman that was really
the same way.
I feel really bad about this, but yeah, Dreamgirls, it's a great musical, and Jennifer Hudson deservedly got an Oscar for it. She absolutely kills this role.
She deserved it too, by the way.
She definitely deserved it. No, it's a great film. I haven't gone back and watched it a lot, honestly. I should. Haven't we talked about it today? I should go back and watch it because, yeah, there's a lot of great performances in it. I absolutely love the big song that Jennifer gets is obviously that was the one that really carried it through. But I still love Beyonce's great in it too. When she has the song "Listen," it's you want that every once in a while. But having said that, Kill Bill is the ultimate revenge fantasy film, and who doesn't want to get a little revenge now and then? So Uma, she doesn't need to do another role for the rest of her career, because honestly, this covered her for life. This was a fantastic role, and just both her dramatic emotionality and the physicality to it. It's that, just seeing her in that Bruce Lee yellow jumpsuit, kicking ass with the katana, and the chat's mentioning there's a ton of fantastic female roles in both Volume 1 and Volume 2. I prefer Volume 1, obviously, but it's just a great thing to see women kicking ass sometimes, and this is one of the pinnacle moments for that. So yeah, and she, you get to Volume 2, and she's also a badass mom, and she didn't really know that she was at that point, and then she gets there and completely flips the script, and it's great. So yeah, Kill Bill, Tarantino, you snuck one by us today. There's production problems behind the scenes, but yeah, this is a role that you can't deny. Uma killed it. So yeah, Kill Bill, go ahead.
Perfect.
On to the next
Kill Bill
one.
goes true. Next up, have Bernie Weaver going up against Hilary Swank. It's Aliens
that's a 1-to-1
against Boys Don't Cry.
Who wants to go first on this one?
It is round one. It is round one.
It's round one. This is unfortunate to Hillary because Sigourney Weaver, she's up there. She potentially is the number one pick for today.
She's top 3, top 4.
I'm not even going to talk about her that much right now because I know we're going to be talking about her for a while. But Boys Don't Cry, I feel a little vindicated in a technicality of technically this is a transgender man in this role that we're talking about. But Hillary does, for the time, it was a big moment for people being introduced to this concept that was really pushed to the sidelines of society. So it is a big deal, this film, and I think it still is worth the time to go watch it. Obviously, things have hopefully somewhat changed in society, so you wouldn't see this being made necessarily today this way. But it's definitely a big vehicle for Hilary Swank, and it's just unfortunate it got stuck next to Aliens. So that's really what
unfortunately, if anything got stuck next to Ellen Ripley, they were gonna, unless it was the other ones I have in mind, like other three I have in mind, they were gonna lose no matter what. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Hilary Swanks, but I mean, your portrayal and your role in that movie was phenomenal. But yep, Ellen Ripley, all day, every day, go fight some aliens, chick. But not that one. He's a cute Ewok.
We'll let that one slide.
Yeah.
I dressed her up as an Ewok. Sorry, dog. I'm getting bad looks from the peanut gallery here. She loves it. She loves it. She's so good. Sammy's so good. Yes, you are. I should have named you Wicket. Yeah, sorry. It goes to Ripley. Again, just like one of these female characters who the femaleness is almost secondary to just how well this is a written character. Like, again, like she's not a feminine character. She's just a strong female character to whom the female, like, sense of femaleness or womanhood doesn't really come into play, I guess, until like the later films when she's having a child or there's the clone, you know, the kind of stuff. But like, as it stands, it could have been like, you know, Kurt Russell could have played this character, except Ripley is a woman. Like, it just happens to be that she's a woman. She wasn't a character that was written that feels like this was written and she's a woman and she's strong. It was just a strong character who happens to be a woman. And it's one of the few times you can ever see that in horror. Like one of the absolute few times you can see that in horror. And like where being female is irrelevant to the character. And I just think that's so cool in a story where like the female xenomorphs are xenomorphs. Xenomorphs.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I've got it. This is xenomorphs. You know, they're also like, you know, a female queen dominated species, and like, but that again is secondary to the fact that they're fucking scary facehugger aliens. Like, it is. I'm one of those few people who actually like the Prometheus story arc of like this stuff. I'm a real big fan of it, but like, just really great female characters throughout that franchise, and continuing on in the legacy of Ripley. I feel like the female characters have continued to remain pretty strong, and their femalehood has been sort of secondary to the fact that they're pretty good characters. I know other people will disagree with that strongly, but yeah, it goes to Ripley.
Perfect. Ripley goes through the next round with Aliens. Next up, now I know it says the Avengers, but I kind of mean for it to entail the entire MC up against Sandy from Greece.
Yikes.
Not a fight, it was an actual fight, but...
Guys, let's try to make a devil's advocate argument for Sandy in Greece. No, nobody? Okay.
I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, like, she's so cute and innocent at the end. You're just like, wait, what the hell just happened? Like, tables turned. But, yeah.
I'm honestly, at this point in time, I feel bad for everything that's gone before that got kicked out, because at this point, I think anything would have gone above both of these for me. So, like, no offense to Scarlett Johansson, like, it's just one of those things where the Black Widow character, until we see this movie coming up, maybe, she has really, they don't know quite what to do with her.
Yeah, she was a secondary character too.
I would have almost said like Wanda would have been maybe like a stronger choice if you consider the extended canon now, just because she is like or Captain Marvel maybe. But like the thing about her is, even unlike Clint, who had this sort of like self-awareness about how he was sort of pointless, Natasha as a character never really had that. She
all of Natasha's development has been based on how she is reacting to other people.
Yeah,
like it went from Clint, it went to Tony and 2, which we're not even going to talk about. But like then she moves on to Hulk, and then like hopefully in this
Captain
movie,
America.
Captain America, like she's a great best friend for Captain America. She's a great wingman there. But yeah, like it has gotten better, but it's just one of those things where it's clear that they don't have a clear vision for that character, and they don't have a grasp on it. Whereas as time has gone on, because in the beginning it was just she was the default, she's the female Avenger, and we need one, there she is. And then as time has gone on, they've gotten better at it. Like if you go look at Black Panther, every single female character in that is phenomenal. They have a voice, they have logic, they have differing opinions, but they don't like fight over it. It's fantastic. So they've definitely gotten better, but hopefully it will get better for this character, because Scarlett Johansson has been working so hard at this character for so long and the writing just has not been there. But for Sandy, like, yeah, this is a problematic character. Olivia Newton-John, she's a great singer, and it's an iconic look and everything, and it's a big musical that I know a lot of people love, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of problems with it. But between the two here, just for icon alone, I think I have to go with Sandy for this.
Interesting.
She's a mess. She's a total mess, but she is a teenager. I know Olivia wasn't at the time, but the character is a teenager.
Yeah,
so
she's trying to figure out who she is.
Working on it.
Was it ever determined whether she put up a fight?
It's a little different. So, like,
say that again.
I said, was it ever determined whether she put up a fight? Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, like, he punched her in the drive-in. But yeah, like, it's a mess, but like it's a character that you can understand in your teen years. She's completely new to this country, to this school, to this whole situation of romance, and so she's gonna slip up a lot, and she's gonna try to change who she is, and it's gonna be a mess. But there's a Grease 2, so I don't honestly remember Grease 2 very well.
Grease 2. If you had picked Michelle Pfeiffer from Grease 2, this might have been an actual challenge.
Yeah. So
just those two going against each other.
Having said all like the slander against Sandy, I'm going with her just because Black Widow is such a mess of male writers not knowing what to do with her. So
I think this one's like a hard one because it's like, honestly, like I feel like, I don't know. I mean, then again, like Natasha just threw my phone. But like, Black Widow is, I mean, like she was like one of the first like MCU like super woman, but like you said, like she was always secondary. She was always just like in the back. Like they didn't know what to do with her, and we don't know what we're still gonna get until this movie actually comes out. And Sandy's just so problematic, but I mean, personally, I think she's way more of an iconic role. When I think of like. It's, I don't know. Yeah. I'm going with Grease.
I kind of wish this was Rizzo.
Devil's advocate argument against Sandy or pro Natasha, which is that like she's not superhero. Like she doesn't have any super skills.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know why I said that.
Movie is that like she is shown as someone who's like equal to Loki in terms of being able to outsmart Loki, in terms of just her ability to work with what she has and sort of use her skills as a spy and use her skills as someone who works within the system, within the patriarchy. No, she's not Captain Marvel smashing the patriarchy. She's not Black Widow reshaping reality to fit her needs. And she's not someone who grew up in Wakanda where the gender roles are different. She's somebody who grew up within the patriarchy, who had her ovaries removed, by the Russian, state, who's gone through a lot of trauma herself. Yes, it's only been hinted at in the backstory, but like who has within that structure found a morality and found a way to have loyalty and love and sacrifice. Like she is the epitome of somebody who recognizes the larger picture here and recognizes that Quinn, a man that she loves purely platonically, because he has a family, even if he killed more people than she did more recently, deserves a chance to be with them. And that's a really beautiful thing. I mean, I felt like her death, whether or not you like the character, her death in Endgame was
her death,
her death. A lot of her problems I have with her are like people had problems with a lot of the things that she said when it can go back to Age of Ultron, when she makes that revelation of like the Red Room and everything, and like they have the line of like, oh, I'm a monster because I've like been neutered and everything. It's like people are like, oh, so anyone who can't have a baby is a monster and everything. Like, no, that's not what it means. And it's like, that's how she views herself. And it's a lot of projection on both that situation and her death, because her death is like, oh, she values herself less because she doesn't have a family. She doesn't have connections. Meanwhile, he does. And that makes her more expendable. And it's like, that's awful. But that is how she feels. So it's like, it's fair. But it's like, see, these are very problematic people.
Yeah, honestly, I'm changing my answer because of what Video Drew said. I think I'm going to go with Natasha because...
Look, and to address the comments about like Sandy changing herself to fit a man, I mean, so did Superman. He changed himself to fit a girl. Like, I mean, a lot of people change in the narrative of film. Many people change themselves because of love. And I would say that Sandy changes herself for the better. She changes herself into a stronger character who like takes no shit and is like, you're the one that I want, but like you're gonna like fucking listen to me. I'm gonna wear all leather now and like step on you in my high heels. She becomes like a dominatrix. So I think her arc is good, but I feel like
she becomes more of a tougher chick. But I agree with everything you said with Black Widow. That definitely changed my mind. So I'm going.
Oh yeah.
What do you got, video? So are you going with Black Widow then? Or?
Perfect.
All right.
That's Natasha going through to the next round. Next up it's kind of 2-on-1. It's Tomb Raider, Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider up against Thelma and Louise.
Which one? Both of them?
Both of them, right?
I never thought.
Ladies, I actually just watched this movie for the first time the other day, and I loved it. So
great movie.
Yeah, I mean, Angelina Jolie. We're talking about the older Tomb Raider, right?
Yeah, we're not talking about the Valkyrie. What's her name?
Yeah, Elisa Vikander.
I always want to call her Valkyrie, but like, no, that's not her name. Elisa Vikander. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just from watching this movie the other day, maybe it's just because it's fresh in my mind. I mean, I think it's just a beautiful story about like friendship too, in a sense. I mean, I'm going with Thelma and Louise all day. I mean, that ending too, like, let's just do it together. Like, yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And I want to like make sure that I want to make sure that
we should definitely wager both sides. Like, yeah,
just to make a really quick argument. Like, yeah, this is the embodiment of female friendship and platonic love, and what it means to reject the patriarchy versus like, what's the Tomb Raider thing again? Like, she's after an object, and because Daniel Craig is the bad boyfriend. Yeah. Guys, I did know it was Daniel Craig. That's another like salty moment I have in the show. I was like, I did know it was Daniel Craig. I've seen that movie. Just got confused about the
Gerard Butler's in that movie too.
I mean, the two are very confusing. He's in the second one, so it's very confusing. But they're very interchangeable.
For some reason, I thought it was Sir. What's his name? I thought it was Sir Friendzone from Game of Thrones, but no, he's from Resident Evil. Like Sir Friendzone, the guy in Resident Evil. Angelina, there's a lot of great Angelina roles out there that I would say are iconic Angelina roles. This like is not
Girl Interrupted or something. Yeah.
Jen, on the same page?
Yeah, it's
so
like
Thelma and Louise screw right away, is it?
Yeah.
Well, like Tomb Raider, like it clearly the game is more important than the movies. Like that was a big deal. Granted, she's a very male-driven fantasy kind of design and everything, but she's still cool. Like it's still fun to have the first person be an actual female and be kicking ass and everything. And Angelina Jolie, she fit the bill if you're trying to match that persona. Like she did it, and I do like the Alicia Vikander film. I hope she gets another one because like she did a good job. It's not entirely memorable. It's definitely better than the storyline of the Jolie films because, as I said, they're interchangeable. Like it really doesn't matter. She's going to get a thing and she's just flipping and stuff. But Thelma and Louise is a fantastic drama with two great ladies, like Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon. Like they are at the top of their game in this, and like the camaraderie between the two of them, and it's a very female-driven storyline of like, this is what happens when you push us too far. Sometimes you gotta just push back a little and things do not go well, and that's really how things go in real life, so it's unfortunate. But yeah, I think everyone wants to have a Thelma or a Louise in your life to go through this kind of shit with, and so this was pretty easy decision. Thelma and Louise, it's 2-on-1, like they had to win.
Look, I mean, also like the idea that like she might, going back to Poker Gambit's comment, like the bad idea that she's the best in the business, she might be, and that might be true or like whatever. But she's still played. It's still played as a very flat character. She's not played as like Indiana Jones type. She's not played as someone who's clever or quick on the uptake. You know, she's just kind of like brute. She's just one of these again cypher characters.
She's just a hot action things out, but it's not to the same degree that you would see like her going through the steps of like, how did I get here? It's just like, that's it. Like, so it's a little
like a Mary Sue almost kind of, but she's like a male fantasy. And the other one has Brad Pitt as my male fantasy. So
in that movie,
You got
speaking of, you just mentioned their Evil. Alice up against
That's a good one.
Girl.
Ooh, I got some strong
Amy
thoughts on
Dunn.
this one.
Rosamund
This
Pike.
is a good one.
Good one.
Someone go first.
But let me hop tail this one real quick because Alice is a good character. I like Mila Jovovich a lot. I think if it had been Mila Jovovich versus Angelina Jolie in Tomb Raider, it would have gone to Mila's portrayal in Resident Evil so fast. But Amy Dunn might be one of my favorite characters in modern cinematic history. And I know it's problematic, and I know that like people have different viewpoints of it. And yeah, I did like the book better, like whatever. But like, damn, Rosamund Pike just fucking slays in it. And damn, if you hadn't read the book or knew what you were getting into when you saw that movie, like
I envy you.
So shocked
I was floored.
Just one of the truly great villainesses, one of the truly great female characters who is shown to be brilliant, smart, and evil. So you're both on her side and not. She is her cool girl speech is, as much as you might fall on one side of the fence or the other about like the viewpoints it espouses, you can't deny the attractiveness and the sort of sense that it makes in terms of a sort of anti yaya female sisterhood rallying cry. It's a type of feminism that might be toxic or whatever, but it is a very important thing to address. And she's so good in it. And it's such a great character. Amazing Amy. So crazy, so nuts, so evil, and so great. Truly one of the best. So I'm going to have to give it to Amy Dunn.
Yeah, this one's like a tough one because
That's one vote for Amy
it's
Dunn.
like Alice is just like this, like fierce, like tough, like dude, she's kicking butt in that in all of the movies, I should say. But then it's like muscle versus like brain in a sense, kind of with these ones. But I mean, like you said, like I didn't read the book, so like going into that movie to see Gone Girl, I didn't know what I was gonna get, and then literally walking out of that movie, I was just like, I kind of want to be
my
here.
ex-husband,
But
and
I wanted to double date. Yeah.
Well, he was my ex at the time, but I watched it with him, and he was like one of these people that's very like straightforward about narratives, like and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what he said. He goes halfway through the movie. He goes, "Is this supposed to be a whodunit? Because I think I know who did it, and it was the husband." And I was like, And he's like, "This just seems like a straightforward narrative." He said, "This seems like it isn't a mystery; it's a straightforward narrative."
No.
And I was like, And then like I just watched his face. That scene changed, and he went, "No, no, no, no."
I mean, oh my God, just Rosamund Pike. I mean, that woman can just, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw her new movie that just came out too, was I Care a Lot. Literally, this woman just plays such like a vengeance. Like, oh, I want to be her. Like,
I don't want to.
Like, honestly, like this character and from her new movie, like, she is just one chick you don't want to mess with because she can destroy your life within minutes. And the fact that she has that power in Gone Girl, I'm going with Rosamund Pike on this one. Amy Dunn, amazing Amy, is taking this one for me. So,
yeah, I think this is going to be a unanimous one. Like Gone Girl, Rosamund Pike, she is such a versatile actress that I honestly, it baffles me that she has a new movie out, but it's on Netflix, and it's like it baffles me that she's not like leading these big blockbuster films because she is just phenomenal. Resident Evil, like to be clear, I've only seen the first one. Like I clearly like the character. I don't know, but maybe it does. But I'm assuming the character stays pretty much the same throughout.
Yeah, I think the first one's a good one to watch.
Mila always kind of plays the same thing. Like if this was Fifth Element, I'm actually have like a little harder time with it. But she's always kind of just like this perfect kick-ass lady that can get shit done, and like she's a little tortured, but not so much, and like she just.
She's a clone.
She's a clone. There you go. But like Amy, she is phenomenal. Like she's someone, we've said it, like you want to be her, but you're also terrified of her. Like it's amazing to see that kind of progression of that character. Like I had read the book beforehand, so I knew it was going to happen, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm still sucked in the entire time. And I'm like, I'm wondering how they're going to handle this, because reading the book, I was like, I have no idea how you make this into a film and still maintain that level of like, oh my God. So she is just this master manipulator, and it's just a chilling performance. So yeah, it's got to go to Gone Girl for me.
Perfect. Gone Girl.
I love that we should all watch a movie together. We all have such good tips and movies.
I would love to do like a
Let's
movie
just watch
watch.
Gone Girl.
Carl, you can
With
come
that,
too if
that's the end of round one. Sure. Thanks. We move on. We move on to round two here now, and the first matchup is The Wizard of Oz versus Mad Max Fury Road.
I'll just go
get a lot
fast
harder
with this
now.
one because I know we're we're gonna be done with this in like 4 hours probably, because I mean I love just depicting movies anyways. But Furiosa, man, she's just, I mean, oh yeah, maybe I should think about this one because Judy Garland is like saving the men in a sense, but then Furiosa is just like this,
also saving the men and humanity, and it's not a dream.
she's also saving women. So I'm gonna go with Furiosa because she's saving the women in it too. So
yeah, it's gotta be. I mean, I love to be like friend of Dorothy, all this stuff, but like she's going up against like a witch who wants her shoes, like, and you know, like she's still getting the con of this weird world, and she's going after this wizard, and like, yeah, she's like a plucky young thing, and she's a person of her time. She's a role model of her time. But come on, I mean, Furiosa risked life and limbs, but like literally lost one in the process to turn these women into warriors, these victims into warriors, and to turn like this series, this franchise on its head, and do it in a way that men loved. Like no one was mad at the portrayal of Furiosa. No one was like, "This should have been Tom Hardy's movie." Or if they were, like, they're idiots and their voices were drowned out by the general consensus, which was Furiosa's the baddest ass bitch who ever walked the planet.
And I'm so glad they made that movie, and she was like the main in it. So
yeah, so that belongs to Charlie.
I mean, Furiosa's already through, so we don't really have to talk about it. But I'm going to throw Dorothy a bone here, just because like we've been talking, like we've gone through the list by now, so you know who we're looking at. So like there's a lot of badass chicks up here, and Furiosa is one of them. But I think there are some that are a little bit more iconic than her. Meanwhile, Dorothy, like Judy Garland, is an icon, and for this particular, she brings something to the table that I don't think a lot of the people in our lineup here do. So my vote doesn't matter, but I will be voting for Dorothy just because it's a very different story, and for the time, that was a big deal. Like it was a film, giant blockbuster film, like centered around a little girl going through a fantasy world, and like that's a big deal, and that's something that it took a long time to really get back to that, honestly. Yeah. So I'll give Dorothy a bone, Judy Garland, but I absolutely love Furiosa, so I have no problem with her going through.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I guess it comes down to, again, like, I'm not trying to diss Dorothy, because, again, Judy Garland was also a very young actress when she got this role, which was a huge thing. The amount of pressure and stardom that was on Judy Garland at that time to run this MGM like blockbuster, like one of the first real blockbusters, and just stand the test of time. And you notice, like, that shit never gets canceled because it's just so good. Like, it's just like, it's unimpeachable in a way. It stands above impeachability in a certain way. Not to say anything, I'm not going to get into it, but like Furiosa is just the baddest ass bitch that's ever walked the planet. And yeah, Dorothy wakes up from a concussion where Furiosa like saved the world
with one arm, by the way. So
yeah, exactly, with one arm, not even tied behind her back, just one arm, period.
Perfect. That's Furiosa and Mad Max going. Next up, we have Hermione Granger up against Tina Turner. Potter against What's Love Got to Do with It?
So Tina Turner
and Jen,
Hermione.
why don't we start with yourself?
I mean, I'm easy because once again, this is a default because I haven't seen What's Love Got to Do with It, so I got to go with Hermione. So yeah, like that's pretty easy for me. All respect for Angela Bassett and Tina Turner, but yeah, Hermione Granger, she's my girl. So yeah.
I mean, I know I'm going to be the odd dissenting person out, but therefore, like, it's going to be okay because I know who's going to go forward in this. But like, I am still going to go with Tina Turner, Angela Bassett's portrayal of Tina Turner in this, because again, like, when you watch the movie, it's just such a strong portrayal of being a strong woman in abuse, like, which I think is like an important thing, especially when the movie came out. Like, it's not one of these things that got talked about that much as an issue. Like, you didn't see portrayals of strong women who were in abusive relationships, and like the Ike and Tina story is a horrifying story, but yet Tina Turner is such a feminist, a real life feminist icon. So when we talk about like Erin Brockovich getting it because, like, you know, the real person was important, I feel like I still need to go with Tina Turner as a character.
And you know what, guys? This might shock a lot of people with what I choose, but I'm going with Tina Turner too, because
Okay.
I think with like the fact that the way she's portrayed, like on stage, she looks like this such like powerful, beautiful woman, and then behind the off stage, she's dealing with so much abuse and pressure in her life, in a sense that, and that was real life. Like she really faced all that, so she deserves to move on to the next round. So.
Look, and that's all the power to Hermione. Like, this is a tough one because Hermione is so iconic and is a positive influence on so many young women.
Mm-hmm.
But like, at least personally, I have a hard time like now distinguishing. And I know this is like not how everyone feels, and nor should you feel this way. But I have a hard time distinguishing the Harry Potter stuff from like the J.K. Rowling stuff. So I'm like, Hermione's a great character, but apparently she was supposed to be black retconned, and apparently she was supposed to be this, and apparently she has to be born a woman. Like a natural, like
J.K. Rowling can't keep her mouth shut. It's awful. Yeah.
It's so against the ethos of what Hermione and Harry Potter were standing for at the time.
Yeah, what they were going for in a sense.
It's kind of poisoned the well a little bit on the legacy. Sorry.
What you got next?
That's Tina Turner. What's love got to? I'm actually surprised that one went through. I was hoping it would, but I'm pleasantly surprised that it has gone through.
We got to shock some stuff up a little bit, and I think that one definitely deserved to go further than it did. So
9 to 5 versus Legally Blonde.
Perfect.
Ooh.
9 to 5 versus Legally Blonde.
Ooh. Well, again, like I haven't seen 9 to 5, and I like Elle Woods. But like one of them, I feel like is a dark. I really want to see 9 to 5.
I'll help you out because apparently I'm the only one that's seen 9 to 5. But having said that, like Elle Woods, because 9 to 5 is so dependent on the trio, I would like, even though it's Dolly Parton is the one that stands out, it's really because she's Dolly Parton and she's just magnetic in everything that she is. Whereas Elle Woods is a very specific character that Reese has to embody. So I think for this matchup, I am going to go with Legally Blonde just because that is like one of the best chick flicks of all time, and that's something that it became a musical, and it's very, very good musical based off of that. So yeah, it's tough because 9 to 5 is a great film that I think more people need to see, but Legally Blonde would be my pick. So
it's hard, because I'm having a hard time like now separating my head the Reese Witherspoon version from like the musical, which is now playing through my head, and I'm like just singing, bopping along in my head. I don't want to be like a hypocrite and be the person who votes for a movie character that I haven't seen here, but I do kind of love the idea of 9 to 5 and what I know from it, which is like tying up your boss and like, the idea of like female empowerment being taken over like in a Dog Day Afternoon style way. Like that's really badass and cool to me. I like Elle Woods a lot. But and her version of sisterhood, again, or femalehood, is a very positive view that you don't see a lot of positive views of sororities and of female empowerment that way. I think like Neighbors 2, Sorority Rising is the only other positive viewpoint I've ever seen of sororities. Like the only other positive film.
No, how is Bunny? That movie. But they make them like very like sexy and stuff. But I guess.
But I think I'm going to have to, I'm going to go with Dolly on that. And guys, like, I will have to go see this movie. It does come across as somewhat hypocritical. I just really like the idea of like the woman who's tying up her boss and like taking him as a hostage. I like that a lot. So I'm going to go with Dolly.
Yeah, maybe this is the movie we can do the watch along to, because I haven't seen.
Yes, I'd love to do that.
We should do that. But I mean, I haven't seen 9 to 5. I mean, I like the concept of it, but I mean, I love Elle Woods, so it's got to go to Legally Blonde, I think, on this one. For me, at least.
That's fair.
Perfect. Legally Blonde through to the next round. Next up, we have Wonder Woman up against Erin Brockovich.
I mean, here's where all your Erin Brockovich all our feelings about Erin Brockovich kind of fall by the wayside, just I think because of the Wonder Woman argument.
Yeah, I mean, she's a tough Amazonian, so I mean, I'll go first since I went last time. So I'm gonna go with Wonder Woman, even though
she's not a single mom. She's she's not crusading to fix the water supply or like bring down that thing. But I will say that these women both have very, very healthy relationships, at least in the first movie, with their significant others. I think we addressed how both of them kind of marry each other. But yeah, Gal Gadot all the way. That movie was such a revelation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Wonder Woman gets through easily on this one. Erin sneaked through the first round, but yeah, Wonder Woman's a powerhouse, and that's something that I think a lot of people will go and revisit and think about as time goes on. Whereas Erin Brockovich, like every year, it's getting a little bit less and less important. So, yeah, well, like all props to the real Erin Brockovich, but Wonder Woman, she's an icon for a reason. So yeah, going through.
Perfect. Now I think that this is the hardest one that we've had so far coming up against each other. We have Princess Leia up against Clarice Starling.
I mean, I have my Stormtrooper and then my Baby Yoda. So, I mean, I won't. My pick is easy. Princess Leia all day, every day.
Look, this is hard.
You two ladies can make the decision on that one. Mine was just easy.
I think it's pretty easy for me too. Unfortunately, the character that I like more, like the character that I find I like more, I think is Clarice. But the character I think that is the argument for the most legendary, iconic female character ever written for the big screen has to go to Princess Leia, General Leia. She is such a great character. So at least for this round, yeah. Sorry, Clarice. No cheap cologne.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as Drew here. Of Clarice is the more developed and fascinating character and carries more dramatic weight. But just for what Leia means to like little girls seeing that for the first time, and even like today, like seeing her progress from princess, badass, general, strategist, Jedi, like she's phenomenal. And again, if you just put Carrie Fisher versus Sons of the Lance, I'd probably for Carrie Fisher, because like so much of her character is because of Carrie Fisher as a person. Like she is so open about her mind and her feelings, and she's a fantastic writer and everything. So it comes through in the performance. So I'm so sorry, Clarice.
Yeah. But, and Poker Gambit's thing, one of them saved the entire universe. I mean, the argument is not single-handedly, and I would say that she helped somebody else save the entire universe. And Clarice Starling saved somebody from being turned into a skin suit, which is, who knows how would have felt that situation. Leia, who got, chained to Jabba with a cute bikini. Like, I'm not going to go there, but I'm just saying, like, Clarice is a strong female character that we should all, like, try to get young women to idolize as much as they do Princess Leia.
100%.
But yeah.
She's a tough chick that means business, so.
Yeah.
Perfect. Next up.
Oh,
Sarah
God.
Connor against
this is a hard one. Oh, my
God. This is easy for me, so I'm Sarah Connor all the way.
They're
going
both
first.
Single moms.
They're both single moms, but seeing Sarah progress from the first movie to the second one later on, whatever. But it is a complete flip of the character, and it's specifically about what the storyline is and her adapting to it. So I think that you didn't really see that happen before in either a film or a franchise, where the lead character, like she's most you can make an argument about it in the first film, but she's the lead of the franchise, and she has really completely changed to go along with the progression of it. So that's fascinating. Whereas for Kill Bill, she's the bride, she's an assassin, that is her person. You do get a lot of backstory, you get a lot of development of what that means to be that kind of woman. But it's a complete flip for Sarah. So just getting the guns out in the beginning of T2, like that was something you did not see on film. Seeing a jacked woman be the lead and still be sexy, and that was fantastic. So Sarah Connor for me.
Neither of them need love interests. I love that about both of them.
No.
Like, to quote Poker Gambit earlier in the chat, one of them saves an entire universe. One of them saves the world and understands
kills people.
Yeah.
And one of them's just out for this very singular and small, not small, but in the terms of versus Sarah Connor, relatively fucking small stakes of getting her kid back and getting revenge on the people who did her dirty versus the self-sacrifice of needing to save the entire world, knowing that your son is going to grow up in this horrifying post-apocalypse, the things that she needs to do and the ways that she's willing to sacrifice, and then going on in the series loses the son, has to reconfigure, and then the way that she comes back from her grief and trauma and becomes an even stronger character as the series progresses I mean, it's not like to say that the later Terminator films are great. I'm just saying like the later Terminator films are like showing you just how intense Sarah Connor is as a feminine or a female role model. And yeah, as a feminine role model, as a mother role model, like a badass fucking woman who's a mother. Yeah. And that's like her defining character trait is her motherhood, because that's how she's defined, as the mother of John Connor.
Yeah, this one is like a hard one for me because I mean, I love both, and I honestly thought these would probably be like our final two, or like I thought this would be in the top 4. These would be in the top 4 at least. But I mean, it doesn't matter. Sarah Connor won, and at the end of the day, I think I would probably choose.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I would go with honestly Sarah Connor though, because she's saving the universe, and she's showing that she's not just worried about herself. She's also doing this to save her son as well. So it's more than just the universe, even though probably that's more important than just a child. But
yeah. And growing up, I'd only ever seen T2. I only saw the first Terminator recently, and I was like, wow, this movie, I really like T2 way better. But like,
it's definitely better.
Coming into it, like only knowing Sarah as that character, like it's almost shocking. More impressive to come in and watch T1 and be like, oh, they didn't like have her like that at all. Like she wasn't written to be like this character at all.
Yeah, I feel like the first one's like I feel like the first one's kind of like a horror movie, then the second one turns like straight action. And it's kind of like with the Aliens movies too. Like first one's more horror, and then it kind of turns to action in a sense too. Yeah. Or vice versa. I don't know.
But I mean, like Ripley starts out as a badass gun toting, like
so maybe she's action first, and then the second one's horror. Yeah. But yeah. What you got next?
We're just flying through these, but I agree. 9 to 5 watch along. We're gonna do that.
Yes, I'm totally down.
From comments from the last round, I'm sure this one's going to be quite a quick one. We have Aliens versus Black Widow in the MCU.
Next. Let's just go next.
And then
Ripley, let's move forward.
We'll see Black Widow the film, and then we might have a longer conversation. But for now, we can just move on.
Yeah, that was a knockout punch. I think what happened was Black Widow forfeited. She had the good grace to forfeit.
She just went off.
Yeah, she sacrificed herself in this one, like she did for the Soul Stone.
Yeah, she just jumped off the cliff there.
Yeah.
Nice and quick. This one might be a little bit more challenging. It's Thelma and Louise versus Gone Girl.
See, this is where it gets interesting, because we've only ever taken one of the female characters before, and it changes it to be like you have to take them as a duo, because one of them is sort of an indictment on the other, right? Mm-hmm. Like I feel like Amy, Done Amazing Amy, is literally commenting on the cool girl kind of persona that like maybe Thelma and Louise in a way embody. Like although they are both like outlaws and they both whatever, but it's like the idea that like Thelma and Louise, even in their rejection of the patriarchy, still have this like cool love affair with Brad Pitt, and are still like, these cool girls in a way, and like represent these like palatable forms of rejection of the patriarchy that even men can watch and be like, yeah, that's cool and like hot and whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas like Amy Dunn is like literally like Hannibal Lecter as a revenge female. Yeah. Like she is literally just cold behind the eyes, and her ability
she's your worst nightmare
out. She like literally like fakes a pregnancy to get like to get like
she drains a toilet and takes a pregnant woman's piss.
Only one of these people killed both these characters have killed men, but only one of them have killed Neil Patrick Harris mid-coitus. Only one of them
wouldn't even let him finish. What the hell?
Savagely like molested herself with a wine bottle so she could look like she was getting she's evil, like, but she is so good. And I maybe it's a recency bias. I kind of have to go with Amy Dunn, but I might be wrong here. I may be in the minority.
I'm gonna let you decide this one, because this one's very hard for me, but like I said, I just saw it.
You just watched it, so
and that's I love Gone Girl. That's probably like one of my favorite like David Fincher movies. But just that friendship that they have, and they're just like, it's them two against the world. Like for me, I think like that like stands like united in a sense. So I'm going them. So yeah, Jen.
And it's gonna be up to you. I mean, again, I can also say that like if she loses out here, I totally understand. I also just had a very strong affinity towards somebody who was married at one point and kept wanting to do a Gone Girl. is what I'm trying to do.
I mean, like these are interesting because they are. It's a somewhat similar situation of, however, like for Thelma and Louise, they start from this place of vulnerability, and then once they rebel against that, they find their strength. And it's similar to Amy. However, she has never really had that vulnerability. She's always been this really self-aware person, and that's just something that you don't see in female characters very often. So I think Amy, just because she is so fascinating, and like for Thelma and Louise, it's a very heavy subject to deal with in the beginning, but then once they go on the run, it becomes like a road trip film. And that's great. That's fun. But like it doesn't have the same impact other than the big finale that everybody knows, even if you haven't seen the film. Whereas for Gone Girl, like it continues to evolve the entire time. And even by the end, you're like, I still feel like I don't have a full grasp of what Amy Dunn is capable of. Yeah. And that is terrifying.
And one of the great things I think about what's the name of the writer? The author, Gillian Flynn. Gillian Flynn. Yeah, one of the greatest things that she does as a writer, and she adapted the screenplay herself, is that you don't see Amy as a static character, because you're introduced to Amy as a vulnerable, innocent character, because you're only seeing her through the lens of her diary entries, and which how the world saw her, and the reveal of what she is. And even then, it doesn't remain static. Even then, it's just not like, oh, she's a sociopath killer, and it's like single white female or fatal attraction, and she's a bunny boiler. No, there's like layers and nuances, and she's still vulnerable. You still see her vulnerable to Neil Patrick Harris and sort of like a prisoner of him, and the way that she's just willing to like cold-heartedly like make these decisions, and what she decides at the end with Affleck, and to like how she gets him to like stay with her with the kid thing. I mean, god damn.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. Honestly, I'd be happy with either of these moving on. So what do you got, Jen?
I gotta go with Amy, because it's just one of those things. I think it does have a lot to do with the fact that Gone Girl is written by a woman, and like she's fantastic. Like she has a lot of books out there, and that really comes through in the character of the many, many layers of understanding for her. Whereas Thelma and Louise, I don't know the screenwriter if it was a woman or not, but it is definitely framed through Ridley Scott. Yeah, it's a male kind of gaze to the whole film itself, particularly as the film goes on. So I think the combination of both female-driven, female-written voice to it, I'm going to go with Amy.
Yeah. Well, but Thelma and Louise, great movie and a great feminist portrayal.
Yeah, I recommend everyone check out both movies. They're both amazing. So
yeah, sorry, spoilers for Gone Girl.
We should have spoiler alert written on the bottom of like everything we're talking about right now. Besides like 9 to 5, because me and Drew have not seen that movie.
And so there's not too much longer left in this here now, and we start off with Mad Max Fury Road against What's Love Got to Do with It?
What's funny is Tina Turner being
she was in the universe. Yeah,
Tina Turner being the other strong female character in the Mad Max universe is hilarious. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I'm easy again because I'm not going to vote for something I haven't seen, unfortunately. So yeah, like I happily vote for Furiosa. Once again, my apologies to Tina Turner and Angela Bassett, but I haven't seen it. So yeah, but Furiosa I absolutely adore, and I didn't get to vote for her last time, so I get to vote for her now. So.
Yeah, personally, saying Thelma and Louise was written by a woman, so that's fair.
Right.
You know, that's cool. That's fair. Yikes. Also, the optics of like getting rid of the last person of representation that I feel like we have in this grouping sucks. I don't know. Here's the thing, like I'm conflating the real world person and like what it meant. And I don't think on like 9 out of 10 things, if we're talking about cinematic virtue, you have to give it to Furiosa. But if you're talking about like just real ass shit, like it's got to be Angela Bassett's portrayal of Tina Turner. But I think we have to go.
I'm pretty sure she's the last real person that we have listed here. I think everything else is fictional.
Iconic female characters has got to go to Furiosa, at least for me.
Wait, Princess Leia isn't a real person?
Yeah.
Not in our galaxy. It's okay. She's far away.
My diary entry says, I love Han Solo so much, I'm going to hunt down and kill Billy D. Williams. Like I was able to separate Billy D. Williams from Lando, but not to the point that I understood that like Billy D. Williams did not portray Han Solo. My amazing Amy notebooks from childhood are so crazy and out there.
We need to bring those out one day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
just do slam poetry from them.
It's crazy. The Han's Solo, and Leia is spelled differently every single time. It's nuts. But yeah, Furiosa, ladies.
Yeah, I mean, I love Tina Turner, Angela Bassett. I mean, she was nominated for that movie. She's amazing. But yeah, I just think cinematically, we got to go with Furiosa.
Yeah.
Furiosa through to the semifinals, and next up, it's Legally Blonde against Wonder Woman.
I mean, Elle Woods is great, but again, I think it's strong female characters. I think we got to give it to the first ever like female superhero that we've had in this new era.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I mean, like. Clearly Wonder Woman's going through anyway, but I actually would vote for Elle at this point, just because I'm seeing the lineup we have, and Elle brings something different to the table. She is profoundly feminine, and she uses her brain over her brawn, and that's just a fascinating thing to see for a chick flick, to really take a stand and say, I can do both. I can do all this and wear pink at the same time, and be taken seriously. So, it gets thrown out a little bit
more sisterhood. As much as Wonder Woman grew up on the Amazonian island, her story really is about her love affair with Chris Pine and whatever. Whereas Elle Woods is really about her realizing that Selma Blair is not the competition, but in fact like her sister. And again, for the strong portrayal of sorority life as a positive influence, as a real sisterhood. But yeah, I got to give it to like the strong female superhero.
Like Diana has to give up everything. Like we talked about Sandy before, giving up everything. Like Diana gives up everything she knows to do what she thinks is right, which is much better than chasing a boy. But at the same time, there's
and if we were looking at this throughout the series, like I'd maybe have to give it to Elle Woods, somebody who didn't make a wish to have her boy, who didn't have to be talking, giving a man back his autonomy, his body again. Didn't have to be convinced that was the right call. Because she kind of falls apart as 1984 kind of shows it. But like also the idea that she's been pining away for like decades over this one dude is like is ridiculous. But and just
I'm gonna go with more of just like the character herself as Wonder Woman, because maybe not to talk smack, but maybe if Gal Gadot was a better actress, maybe that the portrayal of being like smart and stuff would probably come off a little bit better. But
that's why I was hesitant about the sequel to Wonder Woman, honestly, because the whole reason that it works in Wonder Woman is it fits the character for that time. She's very naive. She doesn't understand the world. It works. But the minute that you have to treat her like she's this wise personality that has been around the block a lot and is still Gal Gadot, like I don't believe it quite as much. So
I really like Gal Gadot. Actually, I think she's pretty strong. I like her in the Fast and Furious franchise. I don't I buy her.
I want her to come back as a cyborg. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. They're gonna go to space and she'll come back. It should be great.
I don't buy.
She'll be Wonder Woman in that movie.
Genius, and I buy Tony Stark as a genius. I feel like they're both. You gotta take some suspension of disbelief that these people are geniuses. But I love her. I loved her portrayal in the first movie. I can't think of someone else doing that role better in that first.
Oh no,
film.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to talk smack about our wonderful ladies that are representing such strong ladies, but
no, but she falls apart totally in that second film, and
not entirely her fault, but
no, exactly. So we all agree. I guess
Pedro Pascal sucks, so I don't know.
Yeah.
And I love him, but
he's my Mando, but So should we just Drew? You go with Wonder Woman, right? Because I'll go with
Wonder Woman going through there, is it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Next up, this is probably the she had so far. It's Princess Leia again.
Oh God, that is
sorry to do this.
That's hard because
I feel like we have to try to
somebody who does save the universe versus somebody who helps somebody save the universe.
But then we also need to think about iconic ladies, but also like, oh my gosh, I don't know.
Right?
It's
Just like
interesting
here's what we're
because-
talking about here. They're both like generals in their own way. Like they both
Yeah, but they have
they're both generals in their own way, but like Sarah Connor like becomes a soldier. Leia learns to lead a rebellion and does her part, whereas Sarah is the mother of the person who leads the rebellion. But then as the series progresses and John dies, she does become she takes over, and she teaches the new class of not even her own child to do that, where the Skywalker clan is very like Skywalker centric. It's hard. That's a hard.
There's other people in the galaxy than the Skywalkers? Really?
No.
Yeah, and there's a thing like in her like relationship to the Force. If we're gonna take this as canonically, we're talking about these two specific characters as a full canon, not in a specific movie.
For these two, I think you have to, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
because it's hard because they have a similar path, but they take it differently. Because like Sarah has to really.
One becomes a leader, one becomes
change
a soldier.
what she is, and she has to adapt, and she actually like loses people. So it does. I think if Dark Fate didn't exist, this would be easy, but it does. Dark Fate's a good film,
and Dark Fate isn't even a good movie, but Dark Fate changes the Sarah Connor
timeline a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
here's the thing, though.
I've only seen like half that movie.
Sarah Connor's son saves the world, at least in one continuum. Whereas Leia's son force kisses somebody back to life, and that's good. Like he just manages not to
dies.
Yeah,
you know what? It's crazy here.
John Connor does
the sins of the son do not reflect upon the sins of the mother.
We're taking Poker Gambit. We're taking the entire franchise. For these two specific characters, we're looking at the entire franchise. And I know that Leia is so iconic. I know so many girls dream of being her, but I think so many women who are see Terminator and see Terminator 2, like this supposedly guy movie, you know, and that's so well known for the Arnold stuff, walk away with it knowing that Sarah Connor is the iconic definition of a strong mother figure who sacrifices no amount of like femininity or like motherhood. She doesn't like sacrifice the fact that she's a mother to her strength. In fact, it is like the power that she has. Her power comes entirely from the fact that she becomes John's mother and loses John. I might have to give it as an adult now. Maybe when I was younger, I would have given it to Leia. As an adult woman who thinks about these kind of things, I kind of give it to Sarah, but I know I might be in the minority there.
This is probably like the hardest one for me, at least thus far, because I mean I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I also love Terminator, and Sarah Connor is and like Sarah Connor is just like she's alone in this, and it's her against the world pretty much with a robot, Arnold Schwarzenegger. But I don't know, like honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like when you think of Star Wars, though, obviously Princess Leia there's 3 characters you think of: Luke Skywalker, well, maybe 4. Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, and Darth Vader. But when you think of Terminator, I mean, it's Sarah Connor. And she's the one doing the majority of the saving. So
it's Terminator and Sarah Connor's.
Yeah, I like that argument. I think if it was just A New Hope versus the Terminator, it would be different. Yeah. But as a whole, like Sarah, you get to see a little bit more development emotionally from her. Like Leia is, for the whole original trilogy, kind of the same for her. Like she falls in love with Han and everything, so that's a little bit of a different dynamic. But for Sarah, like she has to go from fear to rage to like strategy and trying to solve all these problems, and like she has gone through the entire gambit of what it's like to try to solve problems as a woman all by herself. So whereas like Leia, she came from a place of power and she is secure in that, and that's why she is such a strong character. She knows that she is much smarter than these 2 idiots that picked her up. So like she for the original trilogy, I think getting to the sequel trilogy, she didn't have as much to do, and that's not because of the problem of the writing. That's because Carrie Fisher died, and it was very sad.
And I want to bring up Poker's comment for Leia was so integral to the recent films, they decided to include her in the films after she died. No, Carrie Fisher was so integral to the films that they decided to include her until she died. Leia does nothing. in those films.
Yeah.
The original intent was to give her a lot more to do, and it was supposed to be
she
her
doesn't
film,
do
but
very much.
you didn't get to do it. Like, that's just how it is. It's a very unfortunate.
In an airlock, and like again, because she passed away. But like when you think about the character, we're not talking about the Carrie Fisher. We're talking about the character of Leia. Like, she spent that second movie like out of commission, and then she spends the third movie out of commission. So she just kind of shows up in the first one. And this is not to undermine what she sacrificed and all this stuff that she went through, but she never went through it alone. Like,
that was my big thing. Is she always had people to rely on,
and she has the force. Yeah.
I think this was like the hardest one. I think probably for at least like all of us. I think we're going to go Terminator, right?
Yeah.
I'm going Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah.
Yo, that's so cool, guys. I'm really proud of us for that one.
I'm glad that we could all like agree on it too. We weren't like, no, you need to choose that one.
That's
like
consensus.
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay.
This is definitely going to be a tough one as well. It's Ellen Ripley up against Gone Girl.
It's actually not that tough. I love Amy Dunn, but she goes away the second.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's kind of easy. Ellen.
Ripley. Talk about like it's going to come down to Ripley and Sarah Connor, honestly. Like, we could just skip that part, but like
that's usually how these things go, honestly. Like I love Amy though. I love Amy so much.
No,
like, it's gonna happen, but
in the face of a xenomorph, like, she's just gonna shit herself and die.
I don't know. She would just light a cigarette and just be like, "I'm ready to die." Like,
she might actually. I would put Amy Dunn against a Predator because she has some good traps. Like, I believe she's smart enough. Like, Hannibal Lecter could probably take on a Predator, and I think that Amy Dunn could probably take on a Predator. But like a xenomorph, like those face suckers, and like the idea of like how they multiply, and what's she gonna do in like a Prometheus situation? Like, what's she gonna do against David?
Yeah, she's gonna screw herself over and be like, I'm gonna get pregnant to mess with them, and then she's pregnant with one of the aliens, and then
exactly. The pregnancy idea in Aliens is so horrific, and is such a body horror experience. Ripley.
Yeah.
But props to killing.
Go to the next
MPH.
round, and now. We're into the final four, and let's see what we have here when it's Furiosa up against Ripley.
I mean, I'll go first.
Sarah Connor. Furiosa against Sarah Connor.
I mean, I think it's Sarah.
Yeah,
I don't really want to get into it because like Furiosa, it's like apples to oranges. Like, they're both saving the world in their own respective ways.
Yeah.
But like, Sarah Connor, because
my big argument would be Furiosa would not exist if it were not for the success of Sarah Connor.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
What they set out to do was to create another character as impactful as that, and they didn't have the time to do it, obviously, but it still works in Furiosa.
She is the Sarah Connor.
Sorry?
She is the Sarah Connor in Mad Max, just with one arm. That's how they made the character difference. Was they're like, we'll give her one arm and make her shave her head.
But
and we'll change
her
her
guns
name.
will be actual one gun.
Exactly.
But I think, Sarah Connor benefits here from having so many movies and so much legacy. Like, there's a reason why it's not, the spin-off series wasn't like a Terminator series. It was a Sarah Connor Chronicles, because she was just so good. Damn, she's so good. Yeah, I love you, Furiosa, but you gotta go, girl.
Yeah.
You gotta go, girl.
Sarah Connor.
Perfect. And then for the final spot in the finals, we have Wonder Woman against Aliens.
Well, I mean, like, what's she gonna do with her lasso against the xenomorph? Like,
she gonna squeeze the truth out of them because they're just gonna like.
I want to eat you. Yeah.
Again, she's a superhero, and I would love to see, besides New Mutants aside, because that film was crap, I would love to see a horror version of a superhero movie. Like, I would love to see the super kind of concept applied to the horror movie franchise, tropes. But since we don't have those, I don't think like it's really comparable. Ripley, who's just a human woman who's gone through all this shit and who's been cloned and who's gone through all this trauma and keeps going through it and keeps surviving and keeps living. in this horrifying climate, and whose story I don't remember how like her thing ends, like her storyline ends, but like because they go back with Prometheus and stuff, and I forget exactly how she ends. So I don't remember if like her ending is as glorious as like the Sarah Connor.
I have a feeling it's very similar to what happened after Aliens, where it's like she died in cryo or something. I have a feeling it's something like that. Like it was like very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It was like, get her off,
I own all the movies. I can't even do it
with a xenomorph. I don't know.
She runs away with one of them, actually.
Yeah, she runs away to Austria with a xenomorph. I think I'm going to give it to Sarah Connor just because, again, she's just a pure human. She's just
we're on Wonder Woman and
sorry, not Sarah. I meant Ripley. But like Ripley's just one woman who has no superpowers and no special abilities other than just surviving in the face of abject horror. There's nothing scarier than Alien. There is nothing like scarier than like Alien. It's space.
And to make the decision easier, we've hit the point now where we're really looking at the franchise as a whole. And in that case, there's no comparison.
Yeah, and
the actress too, Sonogan Weaver, like she's just phenomenal. So.
She's an immortal goddess who gets hung up like on.
Every time she appears in something nowadays, it's like, yes, awesome. Like it automatically gives you another star just to get it up
this
there.
Chick, realizes that she's been cloned. Her daughter clone dies, I believe, right? And then she has to
in the third one, she drowns.
Fun fact. Honestly, it's like her and Sarah, and they both have dead kids, and it's both horrific. And
yeah. I mean, I just want to meet Sonoga Weaving because I'm assuming, very tall because she looks tall, and I'm sure I'm only 5. I'm only 5'2", so I feel like I would just look up to her and just be like, "Pick me up." Like, yeah, I think we all agree on this one.
Perfect. So that's Aliens going through. So we have our finals then. It's Ellen against Sarah Connor.
I mean, we all knew it was going to be this, right? Like
Terminator versus Aliens.
This is the conversation every time.
The final four, though, I will say would. Yeah, the final four were different than what I thought it was going to be. But I figured these were definitely going to be in there, though, so...
you know what? I'm going to Google real quick to see how Ripley's...
How Ripley ties.
It's important. If we're taking it canonically, I need to know how Ripley ends up.
Yeah, I haven't talked much about Ripley, honestly, because we just, free pass going by. So, well, I'll spin while Drew looks up stuff. But
I'm going to do it for 2 seconds because I can't stay very much longer, and I really want to get through this and figure out who the winner is. So I need to.
I do think it's interesting the comparison between the two because, we've said before, in the Terminator, Sarah is very feminine. She's a final girl essentially, and transforms as the franchise goes on. Whereas, Drew touched upon it earlier, of Ripley in the beginning, it's very she is basically neutral for 90% of the film. And for her to take that stance, and she's the one at the beginning where she is very logical and strict about the rules of we cannot go against containment, the rules and everything. And that's very unlike most female characters, particularly in the sci-fi genre up until that point of it's they're the emotional ones of saying he's my friend, I love him, we need to save him and everything that.
He's the logical one.
The opposite. No. Yeah. So that was fascinating to see, and for her to go through the entire film like that, and only until the final moments where she is the last survivor and literally a final girl with Kat and everything. She takes off her suit and it's guess what? She's been a badass bitch the whole time. She's gorgeous. She's sexy, and that was a fantastic little reveal. I think.
You know what?
It is very different. So it's different than the Sarah stuff. So I don't know.
It's going to be difficult because it turns out the ending is very nebulous because there was supposed to be this new Alien movie that Neil
didn't want to put a button on it. Yeah.
It turns out the ending of her is that she was cloned 200 years later for the events of Alien. Was it not Genesis? Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then it's it goes past forward that into the video games and graphic novels about how she ends up saving the world by she ends up hosting one of the aliens in her belly and becomes its mother, and it's very weird, and then she ends up having to kill it even after it kills the queen and she saves humanity.
Yeah, but Resurrection's a bit of a mess. And it is a very weird Joss Whedon project. So but having said that, it does have one of the best little fun factoids things of it has a shot where she is basically a perfect being or whatever, and they have a shot where she's supposed to throw a basketball into a hoop behind her, and it goes in swish the whole time. And they were gonna CGI it in, but Sigourney Weaver is just so amazing that she did it on the first take, and that's why the cut's so fast because everyone was like, "Oh shit!" So
I think I've got my answer, and I want to say this, preface this by saying I interviewed Sigourney Weaver once, and she is one of the most intimidating and amazing women that I ever interviewed. Like she is a brilliant, like Yale, like educated thespian who used to live in a treehouse, who is so strong, like as a woman, like just as a person, she is so smart and so strong. The character of Ripley, while strong and while great, is not as developed or humanized as Sarah Connor is. Her pain, her struggles, what she goes through, her transformation from point A to point D, E, is not the journey that Sarah goes on. And for that reason, I think, especially because, like, as someone points out, like, Ripley was always supposed to be the hero of Alien, whereas Sarah Connor becomes the performance.
Yeah, like she's not even the hero. She's just the person that is creating the hero in a sense.
Yeah, she's not yet, even within the narrative of what is happening in Terminator. Forget like what's happening outside of Terminator, where they decided to make Sarah Connor into a stronger character. What's happening in the world of Terminator is that Sarah Connor was only supposed to be the mother, but then John Connor dies, and she becomes, even in that world, the sort of protagonist of this saving humanity. And so for that reason, I think I'm going to give it to Sarah Connor. Yeah,
I mean, this one right here is, I knew it was going to come down to these two, and I think, like, it's so hard. I don't know. I will say Sarah Connor is more humanized, and I feel like in a sense you can relate to her more than someone on a spaceship in the future, fighting aliens. But like logically, like Ripley, like you said earlier, Drew, like her character in a sense, like it didn't have to be a man or a woman. Like the way that she portrays that character makes Ripley who she is in a sense. This is so hard for me. Because I mean, which movie do I prefer more to which movie do I think is actually the more powerful female iconic character? Personally, I think I'm going to go with Sarah Connor. But what were you going to say, Jen, though? I want to see what you say, because maybe it could change our minds. It could change our minds, so.
No, guess what? It's going to be unanimous. Like we said this earlier, if it was going to be just the first films of Terminator versus Aliens, versus Alien, it would be Alien for me. But like we've said it a couple times now in different ways of like for Ripley, we're looking specifically at the best female icon character. And for Sarah, she never denies her femininity. Like she comes from a place of the whole reason that she is the main point is because she's a woman and she's going to have a baby. And it goes from there. Whereas Ripley came from a place of she is a strong character that happens to be a woman. And they get into that territory of she becomes a mother because we don't know what else to do with this franchise. But like that's really like it. They are both fantastic. But Sarah Connor, like she went through the entire gamut of emotions, and you really get the depth of the character through the progression of some great and some not so great films. But these both fantastic actresses. Like Linda Hamilton should have had far many more roles. Sigourney has really gotten them. Unfortunately, she has gotten the opportunities even to this day. Like she gets put in like for a cameo of like 10 minutes and still knocks it out of the park. So it's unfortunate that Linda hasn't had those opportunities, so at least she's getting this today.
And she still had those guns in the last movie. She's still ripped. So
I want to say, because I have to run in a second, because I actually pushed back a couple study sessions because I really want to get through this, and I'm really proud of us, ladies. I feel like this is the best version of this situation. Like I really thought like it was going to go down to Leia, and like everyone was going to pick Leia, and then I would just be the
Leia versus Hermione.
But I also want to say thank you to Carl for putting this together, because this was so fun. This panel specifically of us all together has been awesome, and discussing these things has been a real treat. I wouldn't have done this for like over 2 hours if it wasn't like
this was such a fun opportunity, especially to do it with you two ladies, and Carl, for you coming up with this friggin' awesome idea, man. Like I
put together this bracket. Thank you so much, Carl.
When we do our 9 to 5 movie screening, you can join us.
It wasn't made for. Excellent, thank you. This was an aid for it is Women's History Month, so I did want to put something up for the ladies. I thought this was the best way to do it.
Well, you put together a great panel of ladies, so I'm not even
participating in the panel.
I know you did a great job, my friend. So thank you.
Because I have to dip like in 2 seconds, because like I said, I've already put something back. Do you mind if I do my plugs real quick and then jet?
Go for it.
Yes,
we went the wrong way. There you go.
Say, yep.
Okay, awesome. Paige, I'm gonna I'm gonna do front page news. I followed you back on Twitter, so I can get in touch.
Thanks, man.
I'm Video Drew at Everything is Video Drew. Video Drew is one word. It is all caps, but that doesn't matter for SEO. You can find me at patreon.com/Video Drew, where I do study sessions for the movie Trivia Schmodown. I have a match coming up. I think it debuts for patrons on Monday against Josh McCouga, my future husband, and that's going to be really fun. Check that out. Also, check me out on YouTube, where I do the Video Chronic pop culture quizzes on Mondays and Thursdays. That's 20 questions about one specific movie or franchise. Have we done Terminator? We haven't done Terminator yet. That would be a fun one to do, or Terminator 2. So that's at 8 p.m. on Mondays and Thursdays. I do that with Nerd Chronic, the editor of the Schmodown. And then I do Cinema Bias on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. That's a show I do with Alex Mack. It's our 1-year anniversary on Tuesday, so definitely stop by. We're going to be ranking all the movies we've done. Sundays Live in the Dark with Video Drew, which is my in kayfabe show. Jen's been on it. It's awesome. We have a really fun time. It's sort of like Space Ghost meets Between Two Ferns. It's always awesome. We don't have a show this Sunday, but Elliot Dewberry will be the guest next Sunday. So, guys, this has been awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for doing this. And thank you so much, Carl, for having me. And we'll see you guys later.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.
I know, it was so awesome to meet you guys and stuff like that. And now Jen and I have this special connection that we can talk about all the time, which is so awesome. Spoiler alert, we went to the same high school. But no, I guess I'll just do my plugs real quick if that's okay with you, Jen. Or do you want to go first?
Go for it.
I just want to do the Brady Bunch thing and look up to you. But no, Carl, thank you so much for putting this together. Like I said, this was such a fun opportunity. I would love to do this any day of the week with you, with anyone, and especially these two awesome ladies that you paired me with. I'm so grateful that I got to do this. No, but you can check me out on Instagram and on Twitter at Front Page News 9. I also run my own movie blog on Instagram titled Feature Flicks with No C. Where there we post movie news, reviews, tournaments, all that fun jazz. So definitely check it out. And guys, I have a match coming up on the Schmodown, March 31st. This Boston badass is about to take Peggy, whatever her last name is, down. I'm about to show who the real lioness is in this league. So guys, tune in, get ready, because it's going to be a bloodbath. So love you all. And Jen, plug away, girl.
Jen, do you have anything to plug there yourself?
I don't have a lot to plug. I'm really bored most of the time. No, you can find me, Jen Kemp, on Twitter and Letterboxd at JKMemeQueen. Pretty much anywhere on Facebook. Anytime, anywhere they're talking about movies or Schmodown, I'm usually there in the group, and I'm usually a mod. But yeah, you can look for me in the Schmodown coming up on Swag, drip drip baby. Yeah, I don't have a match scheduled right now, but eventually we're working on it. It's chaos over there. So yeah, thanks for having me, Carl, because this was so much fun, and I'm glad I got to meet Paige and see Drew again. It's always a pleasure to see Drew. And yeah, this was just a lot of fun talking about fantastic characters from some fantastic movies, and I will go watch what Slo's got to do with it now.
Yep, and we'll all watch 9 to 5 together. That's for damn sure. So thank you guys. I do have to head out. I actually have a study session too. So I love you guys all. Thank you so much. March 31st, be there or be square. And Sarah Connors is the most iconic female character, I think. And I think we all agree on that one. So
oh, definitely. And I just want to say thank you all for joining us. Next week there'll be another panel going on. It's actually going to be about 90s comedies. So it'll be another 32 films that we'll have to decide which one will end up being the best. Anyone who's been on the show, I always send out the invite. If you do want to do the show, you're more than welcome to come back. And until then, we have her here with Terminator Sarah Connor. Linda Hamilton wins. So thank you all very much. Bye bye.